Hello, and welcome everyone. Good evening to each and every one of you. Hope you're having an amazing Monday, right? Big developing stories today. As you can see, the Democrat Party officially hates mankind, and I cannot wait until the president says something about this. He is going to tear into them. Let's not get it twisted. He is going to be freaking out. Hopefully he can just do an executive order to get this going. and push it forward, right? Because this is money in the hands of Americans, American families, American workers, and they took that from us. Okay, so we all know what they think. We all know maybe who they even are. Are they even human at this point? I don't know. It's sick. They can't do anything bipartisan to actually help out Americans. It's sickening. It's disgusting. So I imagine the president is going to go bonkers today, for lack of a better term. Guys, welcome each and every one of you. If you're new here, please go ahead and like, share, subscribe, please. Our all three of those are boom, 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 boom. You're doing your part. I appreciate that. Also, guys, if you want to help support the channel, because we've been going live every day. Every day we're going live, and big things are in the works here. Tomorrow, Incarnate_ET will be on the show. I'm gonna grill him. We're gonna get to the bottom of everything. Very smart individual, so please set your reminders to that. I will drop the link to that live stream early tomorrow, and I think it's gonna be, a memorable show. Hopefully, he'll be able to do it more times than not, because that guy knows a ton. If you get my drift, right? Also, the Wake 'em Up Wednesdays, Severe Anon, Polar Bear Smack, True Reporting, every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Wake 'em Up Wednesdays. We're going to be talking about entertainment, music. We're going to be talking about politics, all that kind of stuff, okay? And how it all twists together. Yeah, guys. So obviously, when the president comes on, if you want to super chat a question or something like that, I always get around to reading everything because the chat moves so quickly. So just letting you guys know, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, please share this. I know I didn't give much of a heads up. 30 minutes. Anytime you see that press release come from the White House, just know that I'm going to be on right before it, so that we can all come together and talk about it, right? Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm glad you're here too. I think this is going to be an insane, presser today. Let's check it. Here, let's go ahead and hop in. I have a couple things for us. I try to take it slow today, but it's just constant research here. So again, if you didn't know, negotiations to craft a massive stimulus package slowed to a crawl Sunday amid sharp partisan disagreements over worker protections, corporate bailouts. That's what they're trying to blame all this on. That Trump's bailing out big companies. It's not what it is. He's bailing out America. That's what he's doing. He's having to. He's bailing out American workers, right? And how many hundreds of billions of dollars need to be pumped into the faltering U.S. economy? This was such a weapon to take him out, possibly to take all of us out. But we're going to bounce back. He knows it. He already knows it. With the hydrochloroquine mixed with the Z-Pack, it's going to help us. It's going to help us, okay? Is there still going to be beyond the headlines? Patriot Angel says yes. Fridays and Sundays, absolutely. There's just so much going on right now. We are going to make room for it. Me and Linda have already talked about that. Keep up to date with her. So follow her on Twitter at Linda_Paris, okay? Please do that. The press briefing is at 5:30. 5:30. So, we're all in this together, guys. I think it's going to be more of a crackdown, per se. I think it's going to be, they're going to start being more strict as this thing spreads far and wide. And, I think we're just going to have to sit tight. So definitely stock up before it gets pretty bad. P.S. Here's a good question. We could do this. Do you guys know anyone with it yet? I know I ask that all the time, but each day passes, it seems like these numbers are up, going up. Do you know anyone who has it? Tell me yes. If you don't, tell me no. Please let us all know. It's kind of comforting. Do we know anyone who has it? Press yes, type yes, or type no. That's what I'd like to see. I'll continue forward. The impasse was laid bare when Democrats blocked a motion to proceed to a $1.8 trillion Senate GOP stimulus package on a party line vote of 47-47. The setback let Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Representative Republican of Kentucky, fuming as it now appears less likely negotiators can reach a deal before financial markets open Monday morning. They are the biggest enemy of the people. The biggest enemy. McConnell blamed Speaker Nancy Pelosi, for pouring cold water on the whole bipartisan process after she declared during a leadership meeting Sunday morning that she was not part of any Senate deal. She is the enemy. Okay? No. Little teapot. A lot of no's. Annie James, I hope your brother gets well. Let us know. Give us more feedback, okay? Little teapot, thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your generosity and believing in what we do here. We do not stop. We don't stop. So I'm seeing some yeses, but the majority of everyone in here is saying no. Are you guys home from work? Huh? Have you guys been sent home? Or are you still going to work? We'll have to see. TLS Pud says no one can get a test here and everyone is sick, so I don't know. A lot of people are, this is season. This is the flu season, so, a lot of people may have pneumonia. A lot of people may have the flu, maybe have the common cold, right? They don't know if they have this thing, right? Majority don't. So, think of it that way. I had to get a new keyboard. My keyboard broke. So I go into Staples. Soon as I'm about 20 feet from the entrance, these two ladies walk out with masks, hacking. About had a panic attack. I really didn't, but it freaked me out. So I go to the side. I'm just like, I'm going to wait for that, whatever that was, to die down. Obviously, they're coughing into masks, right? But I just do not want any part of this. Do not want to contract anything. So, I don't know. So I had to go get a keyboard, but it's scary when you see somebody with a mask on hacking like that. Not a very good feeling. Not a good feeling at all. And then you meet up with them in public. Either way, stay at home. Hubby is a trucker and still out there. Stay at home, mom, she says. Gotcha. I got that. Could be allergies as well. Good point. South Carolina, there's pollen everywhere. Everywhere. Even though it rains here every day. And the other day it was 80 something degrees, 86. And now the high is like 51. It's crazy. While the vote dealt with the talks of a serious setback, senators are feeling pressure to get a deal quickly, as pressure to remove an agreement could cause markets to plunge even further. This is the weapon. This is what they want. Right? UK locked down. Dan Ford, are you there? Are you from across the pond, my man? I have 2 cases. I think there's 7 cases in the county that I live in. So 7 people have tested positive out of 486,000 people. Okay? Rhonda Limker, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Rhonda. Rhonda says here, I saw a video with Drew Barrymore. She seems very paranoid. Also, go figure. Yes, home from work. Love you, Thomas. Rhonda, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. I have not seen the Drew Barrymore footage. I have not seen that. They're all crazy. Yeah, we talked about that. Appalachian Badger. Angela Merkel is in quarantine. Yes. So we see this. Check this. I don't know if you guys have heard this or seen this, but this was sent to me. Check this out. Tom Hanks.
About being seen as the nicest guy in Hollywood is that no one searches my backyard for bodies. About being seen as the nicest guy in Hollywood is that no one searches my backyard for bodies. About being seen.
I wonder how much truth is said in that. Right? A lot of truth is said in jest. Whether he's being sarcastic is not, he's definitely up there. He's definitely a linchpin of some kind. He's one of the big boys. And if he is in a military base in Australia, they're going to keep him there. He's separated from his people. They're definitely looking forward. Yes, Dan Ford Stokes says, yeah, Thomas, I'm from the UK. Boris just made the announcement. You don't think that's going to happen here? It's coming. Don't spread rumors. Right? Don't you think that that's a play? That's also a play from Pompeo. Don't spread rumors of things being locked down. They're playing. It's chess. It's a mind game. We all know that it's going to be instated. Okay? Johnny H, thank you, Bubba, says, Tommy, hitting home runs, baby. Absolutely. And we had a couple super chats. Let me check these out real quick. David Hamrick, longtime listener. Thank you so much, David Hamrick. Says, it's good to see a friendly face. Well, David, I'm always here for you, Bubba. I'm always here for you. And Jacinda Cox, thank you for all you do. Thank you, Jacinda. I appreciate that. Thank you for stopping by. Got a lot to talk about, guys. I mean, he's going to blow up. This is not going to be taken lightly, okay? I can promise you that. Let me download this real quick. Like, see here? So we can have a couple more things to talk about, and then the presser will be ready to go, I'm sure. Let's take a look, see? All right. So check this out. Boom. This was happening in real time. Attention's really high on the Senate floor now. Schumer blocking all GOPers from speaking. How is this guy still in control like this? Right? Won't let them come out of the quorum call. Senator Susan Collins, this is unbelievable. GOPers, then return the favor and block Schumer. They are really at each other's throats right now. And if you don't think that this is going to spill over into this presser, you're crazy. It's going to be piping hot. It's going to be crazy. I'm telling you. It's going to be wild. So, again, as we can see this is pretty nuts. Check this out. Behind this guy, as we can see here, let me pull it down a little bit. Is this a U.S. Army officer standing in front of a giant white rabbit in the NWO Austrian enclave of Gallenkirch, linked to the satanic St. Gallen Mafia? 3 in quarantine, put away from the rest of us, and a big endorsement for fresh air and sunshine. Remember this? Remember this? Follow the white rabbit? Huh? The molecular makeup of adrenochrome, and then we can see it here. These people are sick. That's crazy people found this, right? Crazy. Unbelievable, my friends. Unbelievable. So, there's a lot going on here, guys. I think there's a lot more that meets the eye. Obviously, I think follow the white rabbit means 2 things, in my opinion, and you can let me know. 2 things. First of all, this is like Alice in Wonderland, right? Our world gets flipped upside down once we realize everything. If it hasn't been, I mean, if you're able to, take this with a grain of, as a grain of salt and just let it flow over you and you're good, that's okay. But then you have people who get blackpilled. They get a little, they don't know where to turn to. Up is down, down is up, left is right, and right is left. The world flips. It's very dark, right? I think that we were born into this matrix that they created over thousands of years to perfect it. They perfected it. And that's what I think is being broken down, right? We're starting to lift the veil, right? Another super chat. Thank you so much. AJ Saferstein. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it. Says, awesome, Thomas. You are our digital tip of the sword. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate that, my man. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the kind words. Also, we can have follow the white rabbit, as you can see from the adrenochrome molecular makeup, right? Does that lead us to it all? Is that where that would put 99% of people in the hospital, right? A lot of people are not doing, won't do well after this, right? What are sheep? Who controls the narrative? The truth would put 99% of people in the hospital. It must be controlled. What do you think about that? Do you think that we should know everything? Do you want full disclosure? I do. I do. Yeah. I want full disclosure, guys. Nothing more, nothing less. So, do we follow the white rabbit? Does that lead us to what it all boils down to is adrenochrome and children? Really showing them what kind of monster these people really are? Is that what this is too? It's two different things, play on words. Interesting enough, right? Black Jaguar, so why is 17 using the white rabbit? I think it's just telling us to follow it, right? Follow it, see where it leads you. I think it has more to do with, Alice in Wonderland. Everything's flipped. Everything's flipped upside down. And full disclosures, is that going to put 99% of people in the hospital? Should be. It could do the trick. Adam Whitehead says, I don't see them telling us even half of it. I don't know. I want to know everything. At this point, nothing would surprise me. If they were just going to say, listen, these people are not human. They brought hell on earth and we're defeating evil and we're bringing heaven down onto earth. I mean, it may go even further than that. What's going to put 99.9% of people in the hospital? 99%? Crazy. Unbelievable, guys. So the presser will start soon. You guys, I can set this up. Like I said, I took today a little easy. Felt like I was getting burnt on just so much work. So just know that the next big time, the next few days are going to be powerhoused. This I can tell you. You can jam out while I set this up. And guys, if you have not liked or shared this, please, let's pack the house every day. We are doing such a good job with that. And if you would care to donate or to support this channel in any way, shape, or form, you can have the you have the PayPal, you have Patreon, and you also have the super chat down below. Okay. All right. There you go, guys. If you want to call in and talk, you most certainly can. My platform is your platform. Always know that. Then we'll cut it off, and then we'll watch the presser, because I guarantee you it's going to be fire. It's going to be fire, guys. Debbie Walker, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Debbie. She said, YouTube's hiding you. I had to hunt for your video. Of course they are. They hate me. We're doing numbers, right? They don't want that. Over 1,000 people watching. Please hit that like button, guys. You know our goal every single time is to hit 1,000. Every single time. That's all I ask. If you guys want to call in, you most certainly can. Shannon, Mac, NC McMillan. That is a new name. Welcome aboard. Says, thank you for all your hard work that you do. Where we go, one, we go all. Thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Very nice. I know there's a lot going on, guys. A lot. And, you know, what's to come of this? Do you think we're going to get our hands around this? Do you think it'll be gone? Some people say it's going to be gone by mid-April. And that they'll just keep us, like, down, like, I don't want to say completely quarantined, but, you know, maybe that's when they bring it out. Right? Maybe that's when they make their rounds. Could be. I don't even know if you saw this, guys. I saw as well that under Oprah's house, she had like 56 or 64 feet worth of tunnels or something under her house for a wine cellar. It was like tunnels all through the crazy, right? Thomas, show Drew Barrymore. I will try and do that. 1 second. Hey, caller, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's your name?
My name is Eric, and I'm calling you from Atlanta.
Welcome aboard. How are you? You said Erica? Eric?
Eric, E-R-I-C.
Hey, what's up?
Sir.
Oh, hey, what's up? All right, let's go. What's going on in ATL right now?
I mean, I haven't seen any National Guard trucks in my part of the Atlanta area yet, but I know schools have mostly been canceled for kids until the end of the month.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You're not far from me. You know, I'm in Greenville, so South Carolina.
I'm in the east metro portion of Atlanta. Lived in this area most of my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know the news cycle has just been crazy, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I really believe Trump is the right president for the right time in history.
You think he was
because
placed?
I think the corruption.
Absolutely. I mean, he will expose it. That's why they dig their heels in. They don't want to do it. They don't like him. They hate him. They hate us too, by the way. I hope you understand that.
Absolutely, and I do predict a Trump 2020 landslide after all this is said and done.
Oh, my goodness. I predict a Trump dynasty of the family. People are saying, that's stretching it. I'm telling you. I feel it happening.
Well, and my encouragement to Americans is to also be strong. You know, we will get through this together.
Yeah, I agree. So what, have they put any stipulations on the way that they're running the grocery stores? They've started that here. You can only get 2 of everything.
I mean, a lot of the bigger supermarket chains like Kroger and Publix and Walmart, I know are doing strict limits on items because of the panic buying, and I know they're closing about 8 and 9 o'clock at night and open at like 7 or 8 in the morning. Mm-hmm. But no kind of curfews in place except for maybe a couple of cities that have been hit hardest.
Yeah. Right. I mean, go ahead.
And the Six Flags theme parks, I know, are basically closed until maybe the early part of April.
Yeah, so how long do you see this coming? How long do you see this going?
I would hope that this would probably be done by the end of this month or early April, and but that way we can all return to some sense of normalcy.
I agree. This is. Do you think something's going on under the guise of this virus?
I mean, there's really no telling, but I know there's some who speculate maybe this being some sort of political ploy of some kind that, and something like Trish Regan had talked about, but she wound up disappearing from her Fox Business show allegedly because of that. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. We will see. So this, like, when did this happen?
That was almost like about a week and a half ago. She was suspended allegedly from her Fox Business show because she talked about this being impeachment 2.0.
Yeah. I don't like Fox News anymore.
I'm kind of thinking, that Murdoch's sons are just showing that they're not fair and balanced like they claim to be.
Nope.
And a huge shout out to Senator Martha McSally on her patriotism, if you have any Arizonans watching your show right now, because I like what she said, that you never trust a communist.
I love it. Well, Eric, thank you so much for the call, and we're going to move on. Be safe in ATL, okay? God bless you too, man.
All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye. Eric, everybody. 0550, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man? This is Maga Magic right here.
What's up, Maga Magic? Thomas? I'm good, my man. How are you? Real quick, let me thank Claudette Petrick. Thank you so much for that super chat, Claudette. I really mean that. Thank you so much for believing in what we do here and your generosity. All right, Maga Magic, what's up?
Hey, thanks for hearing me out, man. I want to talk about how this started. A lot of people looking over this fact that it comes from Wuhan. This is the China virus, and the protests were at a maximum level at that time, if you remember correctly. Not only in China, but also in the EU, where's your next hot spot, right?
Yeah.
So China released this to their population on purpose to stop the protests. And at the same time of their economic downfall in their negotiations with Trump, America is thriving like never before seen. So they released this on their population and didn't tell anybody, and allowed their people to come to America and infect America to try and knock that upper edge off of our economy while we're thriving. I believe that Trump didn't necessarily allow this to happen, but he's using it to his advantage. He allowed the stock market to keep crashing. He didn't stop it because, if you remember, also Obama was trying to take credit for his 10,000 point gain in the thriving economy. So he had to allow the crash to happen. So when the reset comes and we rebound this coiled spring that is the stock market and the economy, when it blows like he's telling you it's going to blow, we're going to go past 30,000 like it was 20,000. And only person that can take credit for the rebound that we're going to come back from will be Donald Trump's administration.
Wow. I agree with everything you just said. Everything you say, I just agreed with.
This is bigger than anyone can imagine. Trump is doing everything correctly, and the other thing he's doing, which he's continuously done, is allow the Democrats to show their true colors, and that goes for the rhinos as well.
Yes.
He allows them to play their hand, and he calls their bluff every time. He never puts his hand down first. If you notice, he'll give you hints. He'll say, I might do this, I might do that. He makes them play their cards, and then he has unlimited options to pull from, so he can play any hand he wants. He's the president. And these people still don't understand what's going on. It's not that they're stupid. They're smart, but they're conceited, they're arrogant, they're obnoxious. You know,
right? They think they're untouchable. They think they're untouchable, so they just do it anyways. I think he's playing 5D chess with everyone.
Oh yes, and he has been, and I'm looking forward to the next few weeks. I think because here's another thing he hints to you. You know, the media don't want him to call this the Chinese virus, and he constantly goes out of his way to say this is the Chinese virus.
Yeah.
And then he says we're at war. It's a silent war, a silent enemy. So you can't think of World War II war. This war is going on behind the scenes between, I believe, the Chinese Communist Party, the EU Communist Party, and the Democratic Congress Party is.
Well, I believe when you say commie, I think you like in a way that's, 100% is the deep state.
Yeah. Oh, yes, 100%. Because they own the corporations and the media, and they can't allow this to happen. If this happens, they lose complete global control. And when Donald Trump plays his Trump card, it's over, and they know that, and they're so scared of that card.
Let me ask you another question.
Because she don't even want to go to Miami because she got warrants. This is crazy.
What do you think?
Go ahead.
Yeah. What do you think about this doctor, Fauci? A lot of people are saying he's deep state.
Well,
a lot of ties to Daddy Bush.
Yeah, when you've been in there that long, you dirty. No matter who you are, you got different levels of dirty.
Yeah.
But I trust Trump. And if Trump trusts him, just like people say Pence is deep state, if he was, Trump would be done with him a long time ago.
I agree.
There's no way. So if Trump trusts him, I trust him because I trust Trump. And you got Q. I like Q. I follow Q. But I don't put my trust in Q. I put my trust in my president. I've never been that way before my entire life. I'll be 40 this year, and this is the first president in my lifetime that I support and will back. Because I never felt this way about another president.
You have a lot of trust for him, don't you?
Huh?
You have wholehearted trust in him, don't you? I do too.
Yeah. And here's another thing that's crazy is Donald Trump is acting more Democrat than any Democrat voter would ever want in a president, yet they hate the man.
They do.
It makes no sense to me. Donald Trump is acting more Democratic than the Democrat Party. And it's insane to think, and Republicans are going behind him. And it's not necessarily Democrat and Republican. It's right versus wrong.
Right.
And I see it. I listen to him. I don't listen to the garbage.
No.
And I listen to him, and I see through it all. I read through the lines.
Me too.
I listen to you, Sticks and Hammer, Red Pill, H.A. Goodman. I get my news from people like you, man. I appreciate it.
MAGA Magic, great points, my man. I hope you have a great day. You be safe out there, and let's get prepared for this presser, right?
You too, man. Love you, bro.
Love you too, Bubba. Bye-bye. Great call. 6074, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going? This is Devin from Oklahoma.
Hi, Devin. You doing good, my man?
Yeah. So there's two things I kind of want to bring up for a minute.
Okay.
So did anybody realize that in the press conference yesterday that Trump gave, the California flag was upside down in the background?
I did not notice that, no.
Usually that's something that has fallen. Like if the state flag's upside down, usually that means the state's fallen or under attack.
Wow. I don't know. I heard that, that California wants to, at some point break away from America. Like it just becomes its own entity, but I don't think that Trump would ever allow that.
Yeah. And another thing is, how likely do you think the civil unrest is? You have the government that shut down all the businesses, and now the Senate's fighting over the stimulus package. They can't pass the stimulus package.
Right.
So what's going to happen when people's not getting their money they're promised?
I don't know, my man. That's alarming, to say the least. I think Trump will, no matter what, I don't know if he can pull an executive order just to do it. I don't know how that works per se, but I think that I pray there won't be civil unrest. I really mean that. You know, it could happen. 17 has told us that it could happen. So that's what I'm saying. Batten down the hatches, my man, and just stock up, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Always prepared. All right, man. I'll jump off and let somebody else get in.
All right, Bubba. Thank you so much. Yeah, man. Bye-bye.
Yep.
I'm going to get these super chats. LH San Diego, appreciate it, my man. Says, thanks, Thomas. Keep it up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, LH. I greatly appreciate it. And we had a few other ones up top that I missed out. Here we go. 27 Sparkle. Thank you so much, 27 Sparkle. Says, love you and your show. Thank you so much, sweetie. I appreciate that. Thank you. Doing the best I can over here. Doing the best I can. Let me find this. Was the Drew Barrymore video on Twitter? Is that what it was on? Oh, yeah. Good God. Again, what? Wow. Put some makeup on, by the way. Wow. Direct codes, guys. Direct codes. Let's listen. I have not seen this. Direct comms. Thank you.
I can't sleep. I'm puffy. I'm swollen. I'm confused. I'm stressed. I'm nervous. I'm watching the news late. I have an old TV in my kitchen. I can't sleep. I'm puffy. I'm swollen. I'm confused. I'm stressed. I'm nervous. I'm watching the news late. I have an old TV in my kitchen. I can't sleep.
Wow. Wow. Straight panic. Straight panic. And they're all these big time actresses. What are they doing? Dude, they're talking to each other. That's what they're doing. Unbelievable. Isn't that crazy? I'd like to know your thoughts on this. I know callers are on the line. I'd like to know your thought on that, right? Let me hit this super chat. Thank you so much, Doug Murray. I appreciate that. Thank you, Doug. You guys can be just like Doug. You can be just like 27 Sparkle and LH San Diego and many, many more who help support this channel. A lot of work goes into it. I greatly appreciate it. And from Nancy Doyle. Thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate that. That's a new name, by the way. Thank you so much, Nancy. I appreciate that. Let's go. Had they tainted the adrenochrome? That was actually trending the other day. Hey, caller, 8853, what's up?
Hi, how are you, Thomas?
I'm good.
I just want to say I love your show, and I really appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you so much. What's your name?
Along with Linda Paris, my name is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
And I have like a million things I'd like to say.
Okay.
I am a shut-in, but I've been watching you for at least 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to red pill anybody, but I've got a couple of things. Yes, I do think I was an RN.
Yes.
I have chronic heart disease now, so I can't work, but I do think they tainted the adrenochrome. And I think it's proof positive for those who bought it, black market. Because, I mean, you could see Celine Dion, you could see these people falling apart.
Yeah.
They couldn't get their supplies.
Right.
And what better cover up than, okay, we've got this virus. This is going out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just taint it.
Yeah.
And everybody that's showing up just as sick, I mean, it's like proof positive. Okay, you didn't get this from the air. We know where you got this from. Because it's got a little special package in it.
Right, correct. So the people that are tainted are the ones that they're going to go after.
I don't even think they're going to waste their time because I think they're walking dead.
Yeah.
I think they put a blood-borne pathogen in there, and they're going to be gone anyway.
They put a what in there?
I think they put a blood-borne pathogen.
Yeah.
In the adrenochrome, it's in the blood.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be gone anyway. If you put in like a hepatitis pathogen or hepatitis B or something like that, forget it.
So they're poisoned.
I mean, these people are already walking shells.
Yeah.
As it is.
Right.
And they don't really have much of an immune system. Their whole adrenal system is shut down. They have to have it because their adrenal glands aren't working.
No, correct.
They gave up a long time ago when they were like, "Oh, free adrenal, we don't have to make it."
Yeah.
Biologically, but anyway, that was one thought I had.
Mm-hmm.
The second thought I had is I noticed that in my particular state, they're still trying to claim they don't have swabs. Now, doing
Where are you at?
type of nursing, I'm up in New England.
Okay. I can tell by your voice.
I was an oncology nurse, so I worked around people that got a lot of infections because they have no immune system.
Right.
Okay, so they're trying to tell me in a state where there's 50 cases, they have no swabs. This is after I watched the Secretary Azar say that day they purchased 200,000 on the open market. They had a teleconference call with all governors across the state. Said, "Oh, you guys had trouble buying them? Gee, that's funny. We just went out on the open market and got 200,000. But have no fears. We're gonna go ahead and send you all some."
Right.
Just to sort of get you over this bump.
Mm-hmm.
And here I call my state rep and I find out, no, we don't have any. And I'm like, this is BS. I think they want, this is like a group effort to make Trump look bad.
Yeah.
And the third thing that I want to say is Q has not stressed enough that this is biblical.
Yes.
And to pray.
Yes.
And the first thing I saw when I saw the president call for a National Day of Prayer, I've seen two people like the Mark Taylor guy that's prophesied. There's another woman called Amanda Grace. She asked for the president to call for a National Day of Prayer. I believe as a nation, we really truly have to take this because we are fighting blatant evil.
Yeah.
And I think we have to ask for that help. Because we're fighting things that are not flesh and blood.
No.
I mean, there's some nasty people out there, but they've also invited some very, guests that are beyond our understanding in their intelligence.
I 100% agree with you.
Back thousands of years.
Yes.
So, Moloch didn't just pop up yesterday.
No.
So these are very powerful principalities. And we also have principalities, like
Correct.
Michael, who got hung up, battling over in Persia, and he got to Daniel like 20 days later. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was trying to get here, but I was hung up until Michael came and relieved me. I mean, if you know Scripture, you know that when they're saying this is biblical, they're not kidding.
No. I think
as a nation, as silly as that sounds, and I'm not Bible pumping, but it's time to start recognizing there is a one true loving entity that is looking to be recognized, that we have, as a world, tried to make science our God.
Yeah. They've tried to make science our God.
Right. And then push it on to our children. I mean,
Correct.
I'm not that young.
Right.
But I'm old enough to remember, quote, both worlds.
Yeah. I think this is biblical. I think you're 100% right. I think they've brought some kind of entities onto this planet, onto this realm.
Absolutely did.
Yeah. And that's why they're fighting this. It's spiritual.
Engine. That guy that invented the jet propulsion engine copped to actually tearing a hole
Yeah.
to the FBI. And he said, "You can't touch me because I forget, his last name begins with a P. I'm nervous. I've never spoken on the radio before."
You're fine.
But he came right out pretty much in the 40s, and it's like the father of jet propulsion engines.
Mm-hmm.
His last name begins with a P, and I mean, people are going to know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he pretty much copped to saying, "Yeah, I tore a hole in the veil. And no, I'm not closing it."
I don't know. I mean, that's, I'll have to look into that. But what you've said makes a ton of sense. It's, an invisible enemy with an invisible cure. I saw somebody post that. Is it prayer? Are we fighting against evil forces? I think so too. Caller.
How many times did Q say pray?
Right.
Pray.
Exactly,
Pray.
caller. I agree. I appreciate your call, and thank you for all that you do. I know being an oncology nurse was not easy.
I just think you guys are fantastic, and I don't feel alone because I haven't been able to wake anybody else up. They think I'm nuts.
I know that happens. We are light workers, and this is a place for us to come and to talk to each other, and that's why I created this. Okay, so that we have a place to go.
Appreciate every hour and sweat that you put in because I know you're busting your ass.
Yes, ma'am. It's pretty tough sometimes.
Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That's very nice.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, guys. This is not easy what I do. I can tell you that. We got those. I know we had another super chat. Let me go over here real quick. Let's see. Morris Braxton, thank you so much for the super chat, my man. He says, "Bro, did you think the adrenochrome is connected to CERN?" I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it could be in the way of, maybe they get on this drug and then they bring it. How do they know about this? I mean, it's been around forever. Did some, entity tell them, show them? Is this in, writing from long ago? They found out somehow. For sure. Very interesting to say the least, right? Very interesting to say the least. Let's continue forward. 8580, what's up?
Hey, Thomas, how's it going?
Doing good. How are you? What's your name?
I'm good. My name is North American Scratchback on your channel.
What's up, Scratchback?
And I'm calling in from the dreary San Francisco, California to give you a quick little info. Let's remember how you were talking about those keys around Drew Barrymore's neck?
Yes.
Okay, well, if you also go to Ellen's page, Ellen has them also, but they're sitting on her coffee table. So I did a little research yesterday or the day before last, and you might want to do research on this and have your listeners also go through this and do the Enochian keys with the Satanic Bible. And it tells you a lot about it just on the first paragraph of what each key represents.
Well, we can do that right now. You want me to do that right now?
Sure, why not? Just do a Google search for Enochian keys, spelled Enochian.
Enochian keys.
Now scroll down on Google to turn around and find something that says the Satanic Bible in it, or the Luciferian Bible.
Here we go. We'll just click this.
But when you read the definition of what each key represents, it just blows your mind out of the water. They're all Satanists.
About the Iconian keys, Satan is, the keys contain words of power, especially when vibrated syllable by the syllable in Enochian. Given the revisions and the experiences that several of us have had with them, the JOS ministry strongly advises anyone who uses these keys in ritual or in prayer to have already performed the dedication ritual, as many otherwise could be dangerous for the uninitiated. Wow. 100% I'm going to dig on this.
Yeah, definitely need to dig on it, because you see that in Ellen's video, you see that in her video, and you'll start seeing in other videos. But it's definitely something you want to look at.
Wow, caller. And this is if I go to Twitter on her page, onto Ellen's page.
You just look for her video where she's wearing that yellow jumpsuit.
I have not seen that one either.
Yeah, it's like the one after her little magic trick, more current after that. But she's wearing like the yellow jumpsuit. Portia's recording, and Portia kind of scans down on the table.
Where is Dude, this is crazy. This is all over the internet. Like you just type in Ellen and everything that pops up is about her. 17. It's just all over the internet.
Oh yeah.
Why can't I find her? I just wanted. Where is she on this? Oh, here she is. Is this her?
Just search her name. Do a search on her name in Twitter. No. Type her full name in.
It's weird.
Yeah, type her full name in.
I did.
Ellen DeGeneres. No, you just got Ellen. There you go.
Yeah. You're behind me. You're 30 seconds behind me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I found it. It was the Ellen show. Is blocked? Oh, I must have. I blocked her?
Okay. Yeah, there is a video where she's talking, and the funny thing about it is...
What is she wearing? I see her right here. Is this new? 1 hour ago.
No, this is like yesterday.
No. I'm saying that she's talking to Michelle Obama now. This dropped an hour ago. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to that. It's 5 minutes long. They're calling everybody. Why are they putting this on the internet?
I have no idea, but I also got another one for you.
Uh-huh.
Look up Rosie O'Donnell, where she's applauding Dame Judi Dench, who's wearing the white the white rabbit hat.
All right, we're gonna have to do deep dives here, man. Okay, so the yellow jumpsuit. I see this is 3 minutes long. Where do you see this thing at?
Just you can forward through it, but there is a set of keys in a dish. No, the yellow jumpsuit.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at now. You're behind me 30 seconds, so just know that.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the green one still.
Yeah, so it's in a dish?
Yeah, right on the coffee table.
Oh, I see it.
3 kids, 2 dogs. Say hi, Santino.
These keys?
Santino, there's Dominic and Gia.
As soon as you pull it up, I will be able to see it.
Yeah, the keys. I see them. They're right there in like this ashtray type thing.
Yes, that's the one.
What about them?
Those are the Enochian keys they display.
Stop it. Let me see this.
And if you cross-reference that with Fall Cabal, the YouTube videos that have been playing so far, you'll see something about the silent children that somebody found out on there too.
Wow. I'm going to have to look more into this because I'm not seeing the keys. Oh, I see him. So, okay, is this dude? No.
Yeah. The more keys they have, the more they're like into this whole occult.
Well, caller, I appreciate. I'm going to have to look more into this. This is baffling. And for me just to find this now is kind of it's going to be difficult for me to get into. So, I'm going to have to tell Linda Paris about this as well.
That'll be great. As long as we get that word out, we're seeing everything for who they truly are.
Unbelievable. Thank you so much, caller, for shining light on this. And everyone in the chat, dig as well into this. Enochian keys. Thank you so much, caller. Very, very well done. Good research, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. And I'm following you on Twitter, and I'm following everyone else. I give you guys props, and you are awesome.
Thank you. What's your name on Twitter?
On Twitter, I'm CBDog2017.
All right, I'll give you a follow back, okay? Thank you.
All righty, sir. You
All
have
righty.
a great day and take care.
All right,
And
bye-bye,
God bless
bye-bye. God bless you too. Unbelievable. Isn't that neat? We're going to have to look more into that, guys. Again, we're going to have to look more into that. Guys, if you are enjoying this and you find this informative, please, guys, like, share this. Let's pack the house. And if you want to support the channel, you may do so with the super chat down below. A lot of people have already done it, and I greatly appreciate the support. You have no idea. Been doing a lot of hard work for you guys. Trust me. Kind of hit a wall yesterday, I'm going to be honest. But we'll bounce back. We're going to bounce back tomorrow, right? Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and take another call. Just still waiting on the brief, the press brief. So we're still waiting. Hey, 4855, what's up? You there?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. What's your name?
Hey, this is Killer Bear.
What's up, Killer Bear? How are you?
Not much. Doing good, man.
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to, great show, by the way, so far.
Thank you.
That was crazy, that last caller, man. Wow.
Wasn't it? Isn't that crazy? I'm gonna have to look more into that.
For sure, dude, for sure. Yeah, I didn't know if you guys touched on already, but PG&E in their lawsuit with the money they gave and how close of an area that was, that they say the supposed campfire that was, I don't know how many, I think it was like hundreds to millions or billions of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm like, man, what is going, but how close it was to Paradise, California. And I just randomly looked at it and I'm like, man, that's 9 miles away. I was like, I'll be dang. So I don't know, I just thought that was kind of crazy. But
yeah, man, you got to. I mean, you're right there in the thick of it. You're close to PG&E.
No. I'm not nowhere near nowhere like California way like that. But
yeah,
I just seen where PG&E, their campfire, where it was supposedly started. It starts with an M.
It's such a lie, you know. It's such a blatant lie.
Oh, dude, yeah, for sure. And I'm just like, man, I get some. So I guess they had some reimbursement settlement they go through. So at least that, you know. So
yeah, I guess. Who knows? We'll see. Hopefully they're so crooked. I hope they get taken out big time.
I know. For sure. Yeah, man. But thank you guys for what y'all do. An awesome show. And we'll hopefully hear the president speak before too long.
Yeah. Hopefully it should be any minute now. Thanks, Bubba. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. 3115. What's up? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Thomas. This
Hi.
is Andy.
Hi, Andy.
Hi. I just wanted to call and I wanted to tell you how much we really appreciate you and we see you. I saw, you know, I just feel like I'm on here with you, like, you know, encouraging you, and I think we're all doing that. And just know that when you run low on energy, we're all supporting you. I think it's really so beautiful how it's all coming together. And just remember that, you know, the prayer that happens in the moment on the street, you know, with someone that's in a panic mode, and you can come and you know, bring calm and peace and sort of diffuse the situation in real time. That's how we do it all together on the ground everywhere. You know.
I agree.
So thank you.
You're welcome. I created this for all of us to, you know, like I say, this platform is your platform, and you can come on and talk about whatever you want to. We need a place for all of us to go to communicate with each other. That's why I tell everybody, you know, the internet is their weapon, but it's also our weapon as well. It can be used for good and evil. And you know, I think that you know, we have something incredible here. We've really built something into something very special. That goes for other channels. I really do try to make this as comfortable and as fun for all of us. I want you guys to feel like you know me, and I just want it to be extremely easy for everybody to come on here and talk and share what they think.
It is. It's like a tribe of spiritual warriors all kind of we've got eyes everywhere, and I just wanted to applaud you, and I know how much love and energy you're putting into everything, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Very, very nice. Very sweet of you. The president is about to come on, so let's go ahead and watch this together, right?
You.
All right, sweetie. Have a good day. Thank you so much for the kind words. Bye-bye. All right, guys. President's about to come on. Perfect timing, by the way. Again, friends, please hit that like button and share this stream. That's all I ask. Please do that. Yeah, we will try. If we have time, we'll try and check out Rosie O'Donnell too. But we'll have to see. I think these people are freaking out. I think we're seeing it in real time. I think their adrenochrome has been tainted. Are they dying? Are they panicking? Maybe we're coming at them in multiple ways, multiple directions. They cannot run. They cannot hide. The United States of America could be on lockdown for us to get them. Or maybe they just die off. This is the death of the Democrat Party. This is the death of Hollywood. This is the death of evil. Right? This is the duality of good versus evil, and good is winning. God wins. We win. I cannot tell you that enough, to keep our chins up, to pray, pray, pray. I hope that this movement has given you faith. It's given me faith. I lost my faith and found it for all of this. We're all light beings. Don't get it twisted. We're very, very smart people. And we're here for a reason, as I always say. I know many people do say that, but we shall see what is to come. All I can tell you is just try and stay as positive as can be. All I can say. Because things could get worse before they get better. I don't know. We'll have to see. Isn't that crazy how they're acting now? Drew Barrymore and all these people? It's gross. Weird. Why are they putting this on the internet? None of them have makeup on? I'm going to have to look into those keys. That was super interesting, guys. Well, guys, I'm going to take myself off screen because I'm going to eat my dinner while we watch this, okay? Oh my God. Bill Barr? Honey Badger's son? Oh, I'm telling you this. Get pumped on it, guys. If you like what you're about to witness, the president's about to go crazy on these people. This is going to be big time, okay? Wait for the presser. Wait for when the press starts asking him questions, guys. Again, if you could super chat. If there's over 1,000 people in here right now, if everyone donated $1, do you imagine how much of a footprint, how much of a help that would be? Just $1. If we can get a true train going with $1, that'd be awesome. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and take myself off the screen. And let's go ahead and watch together. And I'll make it full screen for you guys too. Okay? Honey Badger, baby. I haven't seen the guy on the far right either. This is about to get lit. Because you know the president is about to go... He's about to go off on these people. They are the enemy of the people. They're evil. They're dark. They're Satanists. They're very, very bad people. And they hate us. You know it. I know it. Don't be naive about this. It is what it is. It's sick and it's sad. But we're going to win. There's no reason to get down. We are going to win. Win-win. I wonder who the gentleman is on the far right. And I wonder who the president's going to bring in. And I want everybody to know, check out the seal on the front. Remember, there's no more presidential seal. It just says the White House. Very interesting, right? Very interesting, to say the least.
Very organized pattern.
They're very nice. Isn't it great?
It's almost like a crystal.
I know.
It's a modified Fibonacci sequence.
Bill Barr does not play games, by the way. Super Tad 108, thank you so much for the super chat. And Jamie Campbell as well. Thank you both. Thank you both. Here we go, boys. And ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Lay into them, baby. Lay into them, baby. No more games. Let's go. Get pumped up, everybody.
Well, thank you very much. And I see we have fewer people because of the virus problem. And we appreciate you being here. And this is getting to be more and more social distancing, and that's fine. That's the way it should be. And it's too bad. We extend our best wishes to the person affected. And we feel sure that he or she will be better very soon. And thank you for being here. America continues to mobilize every segment of our society to turn the tide in the battle against the virus. I want Americans to know that we will get through this challenge. The hardship will end. It will end soon. Normal life will return, and our economy will rebound very, very strongly. But right now, in the midst of this great national trial, Americans must remain united in purpose and focused on victory. To every single American, please know that the sacrifice you're making at this time is saving lives, many, many lives. It's very important that we totally protect our Asian American community in the United States and all around the world. They're amazing people, and the spreading of the virus is not their fault in any way, shape, or form. They're working closely with us to get rid of it. We will prevail together. It's very important. From the beginning, we have been working closely with our nation's best scientists and medical professionals, and we will continue to do so until we have defeated the virus. Our public health experts, who are terrific, are studying the variation in the disease across the country, and we will be using data to recommend new protocols to allow local economies to cautiously resume their activity at the appropriate time. We also have a large team working on what the next steps will be once the medical community gives a region the okay, meaning the okay to get going, to get back. Let's go to work. Our country wasn't built to be shut down. This is not a country that was built for this. It was not built to be shut down. My administration continues to work with Democrats and Republicans to reach an agreement on an urgent relief bill for the millions of American workers and small businesses and large businesses that were badly affected by the medical difficulty that we've had. If you had a viable business in January, we are committed to ensuring the same is true in the coming weeks. In fact, we want to make it even better than it was before, and we're doing things to help in that regard. America will again and soon be open for business, very soon, a lot sooner than 3 or 4 months that somebody was suggesting, a lot sooner. We cannot let the cure be worse than the problem itself. We're not going to let the cure be worse than the problem. At the end of the 15-day period, we'll make a decision as to which way we want to go, where we want to go, the timing, and essentially we're referring to the timing of the opening, essentially the opening of our country, because we have it pretty well shut down in order to get rid of this invisible enemy. 2 weeks ago, we moved at record speed to pass paid sick leave and paid family medical leave and approved $8 billion, including money for the development of treatments and vaccines, and we're doing tremendous work on both fronts. The vaccines are coming along very quickly. Now Congress must demonstrate the same bipartisanship again and join together to pass the Senate bill as written and avoid playing any more partisan games. They have to get together and just stop with the partisan politics. And I think that's happening. I got a call a little while ago. I guess they're getting closer. It should go quickly. And it must go quickly. It's not really a choice. They don't have a choice. They have to make a deal. This should not be a time for political agendas, but rather one for focusing solely and squarely on the needs of the American people. We are going to save American workers, and we're going to save them quickly. And we're going to save our great American companies, both small and large. This was a medical problem. We are not going to let it turn into a long-lasting financial problem. Started out as a purely medical problem, and it's not going to go beyond that. We're just not going to allow that to happen. Our country was at its strongest financial point. We've never had an economy like we had just a few weeks ago, and then it got hit with something that nobody could have ever thought possible. And we are fixing it. We're fixing it quickly. And I want to just thank the American people for what they've been through and what they're doing. Our country will be stronger than ever before, and we fully anticipate that, and it won't be that long. Let me provide you with an update on critical supplies. FEMA is distributing 8 million N95 respirator masks and 13.3 million surgical masks across the country right now. Focusing on the areas with the greatest need, we've shipped 73 pallets of personal protective equipment to New York City and 36 pallets to the state of Washington. In the past 96 hours, FEMA has also received donations of approximately 6.5 million masks. We're having millions and millions of masks made as we speak, and other personal protective equipment, which we will be distributing to medical hotspots. We're focused on some of the hotspots. Across the nation, we're seeing an outpouring of creativity and innovative ideas widely shared between the federal health leaders, governors, and mayors, the scientific community, and members of the private sector. Really working together. Everybody's working together. I'm pleased to report that clinical trials in New York will begin existing for existing drugs that may prove effective against the virus. At my direction, the federal government is working to help obtain large quantities of chloroquine. And you can look from any standpoint tomorrow in New York. We think tomorrow pretty early, the hydroxychloroquine and the Z-Pak, I think is a combination, probably is looking very, very good, and it's going to be distributed. We have 10,000 units going, and it'll be distributed tomorrow. It'll be available, and is now. They already have it. They're going to distribute it tomorrow morning to a lot of people in New York City and New York. We're studying it very closely, watching it very closely. You probably saw a couple of articles today came out where a gentleman, they thought he was not going to make it. He said goodbye to his family. They had given him the drug just a little while before, but he thought it was over. His family thought he was going to die. And a number of hours later, he woke up, felt good. Then he woke up again, and he felt really good, and he's in good shape.
Wow.
I'm very happy for this particular drug that we got approved in record-setting time. There's never been anything even close to it. And I want to thank the FDA, which has been incredible, and Dr. Hahn, Stephen Hahn, highly respected man, but they're doing everything possible to increase production and available supply of these drugs, not only this drug, but also others that are coming. Remdesivir is coming from Regeneron. A couple of others are also under study. But the one that I'm very excited about right now is the one we just mentioned. And I think there's a real chance. I mean, again, we don't know, but there's a real chance that it could have a tremendous impact. It would be a gift from God if that worked. It would be a big game changer. So we'll see. But distribution starts tomorrow morning early in New York, and I think a lot of people are going to be, hopefully they're going to be very happy with the result, but we're all going to be watching closely. It's something we have to try. It's been very, very successful in malaria, very, very successful. And countries with malaria have had a interesting thing happen. They take this particular drug. It's a very powerful drug. And there is very little semblance of the virus in those countries. And there are those that say because this drug is very prevalent because of the malaria. So we'll see what happens. I'm also announcing that we're postponing the deadline for compliance with real ID requirements at a time when we're asking Americans to maintain social distancing. We do want to require people to go with their local DMV. We will be announcing the new deadline very soon. It's going to be announced in a very short moment. Overnight, we successfully brought home 103 American citizens after they had been stranded for 10 days in Brazil following a cruise. We want to thank the Brazilian government and their great president. Most of those returned were senior citizens. My administration, in cooperation with Governor Greg Abbott of Texas and the private sector, coordinated their safe return to the United States. So thank you to Governor Abbott. Terrific governor, terrific man. Earlier today, I signed an executive order invoking presidential authority under Section 4512 of the Defense Production Act to prohibit the hoarding of vital medical equipment and supplies, such as hand sanitizers, face masks, and personal protective equipment. We have a lot of face masks, a lot of equipment just coming in, and we have some people hoarding. And Attorney General Barr is going to be speaking about that in a second. We want to prevent price gouging, and critical health and medical resources are going to be protected in every form. Under this directive, the Secretary of Health and Human Services is authorized to designate essential health and medical supplies as scarce. So he'll designate certain supplies and medical elements as scarce, and that means it will be a crime to stockpile these items in excessive quantities, which is happening to a relatively small degree, we think, but nevertheless it's happening. We can't let it happen. And we can't let them resell them at excessive prices, which some people are doing. Very simply, we will not allow anyone to exploit the suffering of American citizens for their own profit. So we're going to be watching that with our great Attorney General very closely. The Department of Justice will be aggressively prosecuting fraudulent schemes related to the pandemic. Yesterday, federal prosecutors took action in their first case, shutting down a website selling a totally fake vaccine, if you can believe that one. As president, I will always fight to protect Americans from being exploited. Thankfully, all throughout the country, we're witnessing extraordinary acts of compassion, benevolence, and unity. Construction companies are donating masks by the hundreds of thousands. Manufacturing workers are transforming their assembly lines. Citizens are volunteering to deliver food and medicine to the elderly. We're truly seeing America at its best. We're really seeing things that people never thought even could happen. Frankly, we never thought this could happen. But the way most Americans are working toward getting it solved and just doing what they have to do to make this go away has been incredible. It's been incredible. I want to take a moment to thank the everyday heroes who are making our vast effort against the virus possible. And thank you to the healthcare workers and the first responders. These are very brave people. Thanks also to the hardworking men and women of Federal Express, UPS, the United States Postal Service, and the truckers who are maintaining our supply chains and supply lines. We thank you very much. Great job. We also want to give our regards and thanks to everyone at our grocery stores working the night shift so that shelves can be restocked, and the restaurant workers and delivery drivers keeping our families fed. So many of these restaurants, it's incredible. They're doing service where people come and they pick it up, delivery. I mean, it's been incredible what they've been doing. Totally different business than they were in, other than they cook food. Other than that, it's like a totally different business. Most of all, I want to thank the American people for rising to the challenge and showing incredible courage, determination, patience, grace, and grit. From New York to Seattle and everywhere in between, your acts of selflessness and sacrifice and ingenuity are a powerful testament to the American character. It's really being shown. It's really showing up at a level that people are really respecting. All over the world, they're respecting. And the world has problems. We're at 148 countries now. 148 countries are affected by the invisible scourge. And all of the uplifting reflections of the American spirit are out there for everyone to see. Together, we will care for our fellow citizens, and we will win this war, and we'll win it much sooner than people think. And we'll be back in business as a country pretty soon. You'll be hearing about that also pretty soon. Now I'd like to ask Attorney General Bill Barr to say a few words, and we'll take questions in a little while. Thank you.
Let me start by thanking you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, for your decisive leadership in this unprecedented battle to save American lives. At the Department of Justice, we're working hard to protect the health and safety of our personnel while at the same time keeping our enforcement efforts at full throttle. So I'd like to thank all of my colleagues in law enforcement, not just those at the federal level, but of all our state and local partners, the police officers, the sheriff's deputies who are protecting and serving their communities, often at great risk to themselves. What I'd like to do here is start with a few remarks about the order that the President mentioned to ensure the availability of critical medical and health supplies from hoarding and price gouging. On March 18th, the President issued Executive Order 13909 invoking the Defense Production Act with respect to the health and medical resources needed to respond to the spread of COVID-19, including PPE and ventilators. We have started to see some evidence of potential hoarding and price gouging. And so earlier today, the President signed a second executive order providing the authority to address, if it becomes necessary, hoarding that threatens the supply of those necessary health and medical resources. Under Section 102 of the Defense Production Act, the President is authorized to prohibit the hoarding of needed resources by designating those materials as scarce or as materials whose supply would be threatened by persons accumulating excessive amounts. Once specific materials are so designated, persons are prohibited from accumulating those items in excess of reasonable personal or business needs or for the purpose of selling them in excess of prevailing market prices. It is a crime to engage in prohibited activity. In today's executive order, the President is delegating to the Secretary of HHS this authority to protect against hoarding by designating these critical items. Now, no items have been designated yet, and the Department of Justice is going to be working with HHS to identify cases where hoarding may be impeding the supply of health and medical resources needed to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we convened our first task force meeting, a national task force that will be working on these supply chain issues and specifically on the problem of hoarding and price gouging. And we are designating in each of our 93 United States Attorney's offices a lead prosecutor who will be responsible in that district for pursuing these cases. I also want to say that we have not waited for this order to be signed. As we have received evidence recently, we have already initiated investigations of activities that are disrupting the supply chain and suggestive of hoarding. I want to stress that we're not talking about consumers or businesses stockpiling supplies for their own operations. We're talking about people hoarding these goods and materials on an industrial scale for the purpose of manipulating the market and ultimately deriving windfall profits. If you have a big supply of toilet paper in your house, this is not something you have to worry about. But if you are sitting on a warehouse with masks, surgical masks, you will be hearing a knock on your door. So with that, Mr. President, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Deborah, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. To start, I want to really thank all the ministers of health around the world who have been sending us their data despite the fight that they're in themselves, particularly our European colleagues. They continue to send us primarily their mortality data, which is really very critical because when you're in the midst of this level of fight that many of the European countries are, following mortality data will give you the best insight right now on how the epidemic is proceeding in those countries because they really can't be testing at the level to really understand the depth and breadth of their new cases. In the mortality data that has been provided to us, there has been no child under 15 that has succumbed to the virus in Europe. There was the one 14-year-old in China. So we still see that there is less severity in children. And so that should be reassuring to the moms and dads out there. To Generation Z and to my millennial colleagues who have been really at the forefront of many of these responses, less than 1% of all the mortality is less than 50. And so this is, I think, also a very important point. That doesn't mean that individuals won't have severe disease. So still 99% of all the mortality coming out of Europe in general is over 50 and pre-existing conditions. The pre-existing condition piece still holds in Italy, with the majority of the mortality having 3 or more pre-existing conditions. I think this is reassuring to all of us, but it doesn't change the need to continue to protect the elderly. And in order to protect the elderly, we all need to continue to do the President's directives and guidance for the next week of the 15-day challenge. Finally, I wanted to really close by thanking the laboratory personnel that have been at the front lines. 250,000 tests have been run in the last 7 days. This happened because these large commercial laboratories are doing round-the-clock runs. And remember, all of them are being exposed to the virus in the same way from the swabs. Yet tirelessly, they have worked on and on to get those results available. They are still getting more tests than they can run per day. That's because we were primarily expanded into what we call the Roche high-throughput tri-core machine. Those results have been getting to the clients, and we've asked them to prioritize hospitalized patients. There was a breakthrough today, and I think you'll see this from the FDA, for all of those of you who are waiting for self-swabbing options. Those are going to be available sometime this week to be able to individuals do their own tests. That said, remember, these platforms are keeping up with those who need to be diagnosed in the hospitals and those who come to the emergency room quite ill so that hospital beds can be freed up for those that don't have COVID. So that will be critical that if you don't need a test and if it doesn't change your clinical course, do not come in to be tested. And I think that mortality data that I gave you should be very reassuring to all of you. Finally, to conclude, New York City. The New York metro area of New Jersey, New York City, and parts of Long Island have an attack rate close to 1 in 1,000. This is 5 times what the other areas are seeing. Through the high throughput lab investigations, we're finding that 28% of the submitted specimens are positive from that area, where it's less than 8% in the rest of the country. So to all of my friends and colleagues in New York, this is the group that needs to absolutely social distance and self-isolate at this time. Clearly the virus had been circulating there for a number of weeks to have this level of penetrance into the general community.
Thank you very much, Deborah.
Thank you, Mr. President. The White House Coronavirus Task Force met today, but we also convened at the President's direction a conference call with the nation's governors. We focused on efforts at mitigation, at testing, and supplies. We discussed the President's recent approval of disaster declarations for Washington and California and New York. But we also assured governors who've submitted major disaster declarations that we will be reviewing them in an expeditious manner to ensure the full resources of the federal government are brought to bear. The President wanted us to make it clear that the federal government will do whatever it takes to support an effort that is locally executed, state managed, and federally supported. We reiterated that to our governors today, listened to them about their specific needs, and frankly made it clear to them that while the President has published at coronavirus.gov the 15 days to slow the spread for every American, and millions of Americans are addressing these common sense guidelines to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in the days ahead, we made it clear to the governors that this President and this administration fully supports decisions that governors are making in communities and states that are particularly impacted by the spread of the coronavirus, and we are grateful for their efforts. We also spoke to the governors about the importance of the legislation that is currently being negotiated on Capitol Hill and asked them to encourage members of the House and the Senate to move very quickly. The bill that is currently being negotiated, the President said that he believes will be resolved soon, and we're encouraged by it. We'll speed direct payments to families. The average family of four will receive $3,000 directly. There'll be payroll subsidies for small businesses around America to keep people on the payroll while they might be required to stay home, unemployment insurance benefits, assistance to hospitals and major industries, and we continue to urge the Congress to act and ask the governors to engage their delegations. On the subject of testing, we reiterated our thanks to states across the country that are rapidly expanding testing at drive-through sites and at community sites. As Dr. Birx just reflected, because of the unprecedented public and private partnership that the President initiated with our commercial labs, we stand here today with 313,000 tests having been completed, with the test results delivered to Americans, and still somewhat more than 41,000 have contracted coronavirus. But this state-run effort is continuing to receive the full support of our team at FEMA and at the U.S. Public Health Service. We're deploying personnel, we're deploying resources, and testing is literally expanding around the country by the hour. As Dr. Birx also mentioned, the FDA has been in the process of reviewing less invasive methods of testing. The President and I both reflected on the fact that we have been tested, and we've been working with the FDA to make it possible for self-collected nasal swabs, where individuals could, at the end of their nasal passage, collect a sample. And I'm pleased to report that self-collected swabs can now be collected in clinics and at drive-through testing sites. This will expedite the testing process, of course, but it will also reduce the risk to healthcare providers for exposure to the coronavirus, and it will minimize the drain on personal protective equipment. With the current test that goes pretty significantly up the nasal passage, people have to wear gear and then change out the gear. And this new self-administered test will actually not require the drain on personal protective equipment, and it's all a part of our effort, as Admiral Polovchek will discuss in just a few moments, to meet the supply needs that we have across the country, but to meet them with efforts at conservation as well. On the subject of testing, it's important to remember, as the old book said, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. And so if you don't have symptoms, you don't need to get a coronavirus test. We encourage every American to adhere to that so that the testing resources are available for people that are symptomatics. We also will be issuing today from Health and Human Services new guidance to direct all commercial labs to prioritize testing for hospitalized patients. And that guidance is going out tonight. We also reminded the governors today that all state laboratories, all hospital laboratories, are now required by law to report the results of coronavirus tests to the CDC. On the subject of supplies, in our meeting today at FEMA, we received a report of the new Supply Chain Stabilization Task Force. Rear Admiral John Polovchek is leading that up at FEMA. And the task force is working to identify medical supplies that exist in the marketplace today, to evaluate the national stockpile, and also working with industries around the country to produce even more of the critical medical supplies. And as the President said, businesses across America are stepping up, and maybe as never before in our history. 3M, in fact, has diverted 500,000 N95 masks from commercial customers, and they're being delivered today to New York and Seattle. Facebook, we would acknowledge, has donated their emergency reserve of over 700,000 N95 masks to healthcare workers, and these are just a few examples of the generosity of businesses. We're also seeing companies step forward to repurpose their manufacturing facilities to create ventilators, to create equipment. And I know I speak for the President when I say how grateful and proud we are for that. We also discussed with the governors a real breakthrough on the availability of ventilators. We called on the governors to survey all outpatient surgical centers and hospital operating rooms, because surgical ventilators that anesthesiologists use, because of an FDA decision rendered this last weekend, those can be easily converted now to ventilators that can be used for people struggling with severe illness from the coronavirus. And so we called on our governors in conversations with state leaders to survey all of their surgical centers and hospital operating rooms to identify that equipment, and with the new FDA guidelines, they'll be able to convert those to help meet the needs of ventilators across the country. We are now 8 days into the President's 15 days to slow the spread. And the American people are rising to the challenge. We're doing this. But in the days that remain between now and the end of the 15 days, we're going to need every American to take this seriously. Listen to your state and local health authorities, where there may be additional and stronger guidance in areas where the coronavirus spread has been more severe. But for every American, know that the part that you do, that your family does, that you do in your community to put into practice these principles of social distancing, using a drive-through at the local restaurant, will make an enormous difference in lowering the trajectory of the coronavirus spreading across our country. It's going to take all of us, but with the ongoing cooperation of the American people, with compassion, with the ingenuity of American industry, with dedicated leadership at the state and federal level, I know that we can slow the spread, we can protect our most vulnerable, and we will heal our land.
Thank you, Mike, very much.
Admiral, please.
Well said,
Thank
Mike.
you, Mr.
Well
Vice
said.
President. So I'm Rear Admiral John Polovchek. I'm the Supply Chain Task Force lead at FEMA. My task is to increase the supply of critical medical supplies, which include personal protective equipment and ventilators, items like that. I just want to take a few moments to explain the organization that we've stood up this week, these last few days, and our approach. So you have a chart behind me. I have two focus leads, one on personal protective equipment, medical supplies, and a focus lead on ventilators. operating under 4 lines of effort. First line of effort you see is preservation. And the leaders tonight have talked about that ability to make our stuff last longer. Acceleration. We have a team of people that are searching the globe for personal protective equipment, figuring out where it is, figuring out if we need to buy it or just transport it and get it here faster. We have a line of effort called reallocation. We're working with our industry partners to illuminate the supply chain. There are many vendors, many distributors, all on separate systems. Nobody has one site picture for that supply chain. We've brought our industry partners in. We're weaving that together to make better allocation decisions and understand where it is and where it needs to go. We have a line called expansion. You've heard some of that today. If those that have wanted to convert plants, those that want to get into the business, we have the tools to help them to go do that. So 2 focus areas right now, PPE and ventilators, 4 lines of effort working the problem of the task to get more here and increase the supplies.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. If I could, the Washington Post is reporting that the total
Jim Acosta in the front.
crossed 100 for the first time. This morning, your Surgeon General on the Today Show said he wanted Americans to understand that this is going to get really bad. Do you share that prognosis?
Of course I do. It's going to be bad, and we have a lot of people dying from the flu, as you know. We have a very bad flu season on top of everything else. It's very bad. It looks like it could be over 50,000. And certainly this is going to be bad, and we're trying to make it so that it's much, much less bad. And that's what we're doing. I think we're doing a very good job of it. If you look at other countries, what they've been through, and you look at the kind of numbers and compare them to ours, which is a much larger country than most, the numbers are pretty amazing. And it started with the fact that we stopped people from coming in from a highly affected area and infected area. And that was a good thing to do. So, yeah, it's bad, and it's going to, obviously, the numbers are going to increase with time, and then they're going to start to decrease. And we're going to be opening our country up for business because our country was meant to be open and working with others, but especially for our workers. And the engine for that whole system is we have to have companies, and these companies are loved by our workers because they're paying big salaries and big dollars to our workers, and we're going to get it all going again very soon, hopefully very, very soon. Please.
Sir, I'm just trying to reconcile the 2 things that you just said. One, that things are going to be very, very bad, and 2, that you want to get the country open back up as quickly as possible. So I guess my question is, if in a week Dr. Birx or Dr. Fauci are telling you we need to continue these measures for the health of the vulnerable populations of the country, are you going to say, I'm sorry, the economy is too important?
Well, you'll see what happens. I understand the question very well. It's a great question, but we can do 2 things at one time. I will say this. Our country's learned a lot. We've learned about social distancing. We've learned about the hands. We've learned about staying away, at least during the time that this is even a little bit around. This disease or whatever you want to call it, many different names. You can call it many different names, but the virus, while it's around. And we can start thinking about, as an example, parts of our country are very lightly affected, very small numbers. And, you know, you look at a state, great governor, Pete Ricketts in Nebraska. You look at the kind of numbers they have out there. They have one of the great hospitals there, too, relative to what we're talking about. But you look at Nebraska, you look at Idaho, you look at Iowa, you look at I could name many countries that are handling it very, very well and that are not affected to the same extent, or frankly, not even nearly to the extent of New York, which is really, I'm dealing with Governor Cuomo, and we're dealing very well together. We'll be sending that ship up, by the way, as you know. We have a ship going to Los Angeles. We'll also be The ship is coming out of a very large repair. It's all ready to go. It very soon will be. And over the next 3 or 4 weeks, that'll be coming up to New York. We'll go to New York Harbor, and it'll be fully supplied. So they're working on that right now.
And maybe Dr. Burks can speak to this. Do you share the president's optimism that in a week we might have a situation where we can say, there's a few hot spots, but much of the country...
Well, I didn't say in a week, but I said soon. It's going to be soon. It's not going to be 3 or 4 months, as some people were saying, and a lot of people thought originally, but I would certainly let you answer.
And are you worried that some of the cities and states that haven't had the infection yet are lagging indicators and that we're going to start seeing cases?
So you've raised two important issues. One, I think you all know a lot of our tests have had to go to hospitals at this time so that we can diagnose people who are at risk, to give them options to get these new therapeutic options. None of these therapeutic options are available if you don't know your diagnosis. So we've been very much focused on that. With adding Abbott, Thermo Fisher, Hologic, and now Cepheid platforms. Cepheid's that new platform that is point of care, but slower. So, you've got to match the throughput, the need to what kind of equipment you have. Now that we have all those platforms moving simultaneously, we can go back to doing case finding and surveillance in the areas that have the most lower numbers, as well as doing mitigation more aggressively in the places that have higher numbers. We went out with a very blunt force. I mean, we have to all be honest. We had to do that because we weren't sure where the virus was and where it is going. I think over this week, we're concentrated on figuring out exactly where the virus is and making projections about where it's going and the impact of our mitigation pieces. We learned this in tackling epidemics around the world. You have to focus the resources and the intervention and the structural prevention interventions in the areas where the virus is circulating. Otherwise, people never understand why you're doing this and they don't have any virus. So it has to be very tailored geographically, and it may have to also be very tailored by age group, really understanding who's at the greatest risk and understanding how to protect them.
But there's data showing that in 3 months, as the president said, we won't need to follow these broad guidelines that he's
The only data that we all have, and I think you all know what it is, the two areas that have moved through their curve is China and South Korea. So those are the two countries that we're learning from. Those were 8 to 10 week curves. Each state in each hotspot in the United States is going to be its own curve because the seeds came in at different times. So Washington State is on their curve. They're about 2 weeks ahead of New York. And so each of these have to be done in a very granular way to really understand where we are. And it's the charge that the president has given us is to use all of our data analytics and all of our data inputs to really define those issues about where the virus is, where is it going, and what predictions we can make about where we are in that bell-shaped curve.
I think that's a great definition, and I will say we're going to be watching our senior citizens very closely. We're going to be watching certain hotspots like New York, and within New York you have areas which are troubling, and we'll be working with the governor and the mayor and everybody else on those spots. But at the same time, at a certain point, we have to get open and we have to get moving. We don't want to lose these companies. We don't want to lose these workers. We want to take care of our workers. So we'll be doing something, I think, relatively quickly, but we've learned a lot during this period. This was a very necessary period. Tremendous information was gained, but we can do two things at one time. And again, I say we have a very active flu season, more active than most. It's looking like it's heading to 50,000 or more deaths, not cases, 50,000 deaths, which is, that's a lot. And you look at automobile accidents, which are far greater than any numbers we're talking about. That doesn't mean we're going to tell everybody no more driving of cars. So we have to do things to get our country open. But this has been an incredible period of learning, and we'll have announcements over the next fairly short period as to the timing. John, please.
Mr. President, I want to ask about these guidelines on testing. Obviously, Senator Rand Paul has tested positive for coronavirus. But he was not in contact with anybody who was a known positive, and he didn't have any major symptoms. Under your guidelines, under the guidelines that have been outlined here, he would not have gotten a test. He got one anyway. So what do you say to him? He's pointed out that if he hadn't gone basically in defiance of these guidelines and got tested, he might still be showing up to the Senate right now and infecting the whole U.S. Senate.
So that's why this was important. That's why this recommendation to the American people was important. Because we have been saying that there is a level of asymptomatic or mild spread. And that's why each person has to be responsible. Each person has to be responsible in the way that they decrease their interaction with others, the 6 feet, and you're all very social distanced, so thank you. But also assuming that everyone that you're interacting with could be positive. And that gets into the hand washing piece, and that gets into the other piece we talked about is surfaces. I think until we really figure out the respiratory transmission versus the surface transmission, and this hard surface transmission, not fabric, will be really critical, because that is a way the virus could spread on subways or metros, where people would be holding on to things that other people had recently held on to. So that's the real question.
But if we can just keep with the example of Rand Paul, and obviously there are many other people that would be in a similar situation, but just keep with this one example. If he hadn't gotten that test, he would still be showing up to the Senate every day, to his place of work.
If he had
You
been
wouldn't want that,
following
would
these
you?
guidelines, he wouldn't have been infecting others because of the social distancing, washing your hands, doing everything that we talked about. So we've talked about also how people make choices because of their jobs, that they have to come in. You'll notice I was not here over the weekend. I think this is the part that we really need to take personal responsibility for. Saturday, I had a little low-grade fever.
Uh-oh.
So, actually, probably a GI thing. But, you know, I'm meticulous. I'm a physician. I looked it up. I ended up piggy banking. I'm from Walter Reed, so I got a test late Saturday night, and I'm negative. I stayed home another day just
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, just to make sure. That's how we protect one another. So, you know, unless everybody's taking their temperature every day, we can't say that he had no symptoms. These are the kinds of things that we have to do for one another. This is the personal responsibility that I'm talking about, that we all have to practice.
Hey, Mr. President, when you say you don't want the cure to be worse than the problem itself, so are you saying that if we kept these measures that we're doing now in place for a couple of months, 2
Well,
or
they
3
will
months?
be in place. At some point, we're going to open up our country, and it's going to be fairly soon.
Weeks or months? Because you seem to be
I'm not looking at months. I can tell you right now. We're going to be opening up our country, and we're going to be watching certain areas, and we're going to be practicing everything that Deborah's referring to right here. I mean, we're going to be watching this very closely, but you can't keep it closed for the next, for years. Okay, this is going away. We're going to win the battle, but we also have, you have tremendous responsibility. We have jobs. We have people get tremendous anxiety and depression, and you have suicides over things like this. When you have terrible economies, you have death. Probably, and I mean definitely, would be in far greater numbers than the numbers that we're talking about with regard to the virus. So we have an obligation. We have a double obligation. We have a great country. There's no country like it in the world, and there's no economy like it in the world. I mean, we were just blazing. We were coming out with numbers that some numbers weren't even reported because it was already this had happened. They were meaningless. I got numbers about myself that were meaningless, because by the time the numbers came in, it's a whole different world with this. But I will tell you that we can do both things, John. We can do them both at the same time. I mean, that's okay. What we have gone through is a tremendous learning process. And we've also solved a lot of problems, but we've gone through a tremendous learning situation. Now, we're building hospitals in New York. We're building hospitals in California. We're building hospitals in the state of Washington. We've been in touch with the governors. Today I spoke with a man that I happen to like. I spoke with Phil in New Jersey, and we're We're going to be doing something very meaningful in New Jersey. We're doing something. I spoke with J.B. Pritzker, called me today. We're going to be helping them out in Illinois. We're doing a lot of things in Florida. We're doing a lot of things. And between FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers and the Admiral in your group, in terms of the purchasing, that's what he does. He purchases. He's supposed to be great. I'll tell you in about 2 days. But he's going to do a fantastic job. So we have an incredibly talented group of people. But yeah, we'll be doing 2 things and 3 things at one time. Well, at the same time, though, we're going to be watching very closely the hotspots. We're going to be taking care and watching very closely our senior citizens, especially those with a problem or an illness. We're going to be watching them very, very closely. And we can do that and have an open economy, have an open country. And we have to do that because that causes other problems. And maybe it causes much bigger problems than the problem we're talking about now. You understand? Jeff, please.
Mr. President, following up on that same topic and on your tweet, do you think that the cure so far has been worse than the problem?
I think the cure has been very tough. This has been a very tough. This was an operation. This was somebody going to a doctor and saying, you need an operation. And we've had an operation. We've learned a lot. And we fixed a lot of problems. One of the things we fixed is, if you look at the obsolete system that this administration inherited, it wasn't meant for this. It was meant for a small group of people, and even for that, it was not very good and very obsolete. We now have a testing program now that will hopefully be able to be used for many years into the future. Should we have another event like this? I don't think you'll have another event like this. This is very unique. You look back into time, you look back decades and decades. We can name them all, even if you go back 10 years. You know, you go back to '09, but that wasn't like this, as it turned out. But they lost a lot of people. We were early. We were early, Jeff, because of the fact that we closed early. That was a big move. Please, Kristen. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
You had said previously, I think from this podium, that the virus could still be with us through July or August. By suggesting now that we might, or that the government might change these standards or these recommendations.
Well, it's not change. We're doing things. Yeah, this was a learning experience for the people of the country. And even
time frame has changed for you. The July-August time frame of when you think the virus will be under control.
Well, I think we've learned a lot. I think that there's so much discipline now that we never had. Nobody ever said, don't shake hands. I did actually before I became a politician. Once I became a politician, then it's hard getting used to not doing it. Because, you know, you do it with everybody, with literally thousands of people a week. You're shaking hands with big groups of people. You know, we've learned a lot. There's a great discipline that this whole country has learned, having to do with distancing, having to do with shaking hands. I think a lot of it's going to stay long after the virus is gone. I really think it's probably good practice anyway, but I think it's going to stay long after the virus is gone. But we have to open our country, because that causes problems that, in my opinion, could be far bigger problems. Far bigger. This is a severe medical situation that could cause problems far beyond the medical, and then increase the medical problems to things that had nothing to do with this original medical problem. We can't let that happen to our country. We have the greatest country in the world. I'm not going to let that happen. But this 2 weeks that we have spent has been an incredible learning period and process. Please, Kristen.
I have 2 questions for you. Right. One, you said it's likely going to be weeks, not months, before you suggest easing these guidelines that you put out. Have any of the doctors on your team told you that's the right path to pursue?
We spoke to them today, and I was telling them that we have 2 things to look for. Don't forget the doctors. If it were up to the doctors, they may say, let's keep it shut down. Let's shut down the entire world, because, again, you're up to almost 150 countries. So let's shut down the entire world, and when we shut it down, that would be wonderful. And let's keep it shut for a couple of years. You know, you can't do that. And you can't do that with a country, especially the #1 economy anywhere in the world, by far. #1 economy in the world. You can't do that. Because, well, it causes bigger problems than the original. That's why I talk about the cure being worse than the problem. We can't have the cure be worse than the problem. But what we have done, so this is not retracing, this isn't anything. We've done it really well. because this 2-week period has been good. And I'm not saying it ends at that time. You know, we have another 7 days or so. I'm not saying it ends at that time, but I am saying it's been like this incredible learning process. That's going to go into the future. That's going to go even as we open up our country. And we're going to be watching New York, and we're going to be watching California. We're going to be watching the state of Washington and other places. Illinois is becoming a hotspot. And we can do both. Now, we may quarantine. I mean, we will be quarantining many people in these areas. There are other areas that just aren't affected, or they're affected very little. And why would we close down 100% of the country? There are areas within New York where New York will be open, but there are areas within New York. Remember this, New York has the New York Stock Exchange. It has NASDAQ. It has the exchanges. To close the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ and with all of the great work they're doing, I mean, they've gone largely to computer. You look at the floor, it's incredible what they can do, but it's fully open. But we don't want to be doing that. But we can do, what I'm saying basically is that we can do two things simultaneously. And we've had this incredible learning period. Plus, people have been in a period and they won't be calling, oh, gee, because I've got many, many people that now come to me and say, we get it. We think we can really do it now and do it while we're open. So at some point, we'll be setting some guidelines. We'll be setting some date lines. And we'll be announcing them in the not-too-distant future.
Have any of the doctors on your team endorsed easing the federal guidelines?
Not endorsed. We talked together, and I think they're okay with it, and I'm okay with it. But this could be a much bigger problem. This could create a much bigger problem than the problem that you start off with. Now, other nations are going to have to do what they're going to do, but they'll probably do something very similar. But in our case, much more so than anyone else, because of the magnitude of our economy, the tremendous size of what we've built and what we have, and the jobs involved. You know, you have almost 160 million jobs in this country now, the most ever, by far the most ever.
100%.
The number of jobs, almost 160 million. So we can't turn that off and think it's going to be wonderful. There'll be tremendous repercussions. There will be a tremendous death from that. Death. You know, you're talking about death. Probably more death from that than anything that we're talking about with respect to the virus.
If we continue with these strict guidelines than if we ease them?
No, I think we're going to do them both. I think that's what I'm saying. I think we can do them both. Now, we haven't announced a date, but we're getting fairly close to coming up with a date, and it's a much shorter period of time than I've been hearing the news report.
Good.
And I think everybody should be happy with that.
Yes.
But great knowledge was gained. Please.
I had two questions for you, Mr. President. My second one is on what your economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, said today. He was talking about this, and he said that there are going to have to be some difficult trade-offs if you do ease these guidelines, because he wants the economy to be
You mean with the
open again.
Democrats you're talking about?
No. He was talking about how you said, the cure shouldn't be worse than the problem, and he was talking about reopening the businesses, getting the economy going again. What are those difficult trade-offs?
Well, it is true. I mean, if he said, I didn't hear him say that, but if he said difficult trade-off, sure, it's less convenient. Before you walk and you hop in the subway and you grab the handle and you go down to wherever you're going on Wall Street and you do all sorts of things and you go in and you open the doors going into your great buildings or into the exchanges, and now you're not going to have to maybe think about doing that, or you're going to think about doing it a different way. No, there are many trade-offs. It's a different life, and maybe it'll remain that way, frankly, after the invisible scourge is gone. Maybe it's going to stay that way. Not a bad thing to say.
Second time he's used that word, scourge.
No, there are trade-offs. There's no question about that. But I actually think I think in the end we're going to end up being bigger, better, and stronger. We have learned a lot. Please.
We're seeing an increase of cases in Latin America, in the Middle East,
it's true.
in
Latin
some places in Asia. Are you considering a new round of travel ban?
No, we're not really. I mean, something like that could happen, I guess, but we're not really. They thought we were going to have bans within the United States. We didn't do that. We're not going to have that. Hopefully that'll take care of itself. No, in Latin America, there's been an uptick. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, just quickly, a second question. What prompted you to say at the beginning of your comments that you're going to take care of the Asian Americans? Has there been something in particular that was?
Yeah, because it seems that there could be a a little bit of nasty language toward the Asian Americans in our country, and I don't like that at all. These are incredible people. They love our country, and I'm not going to let it happen. So I just wanted to make that point. Because they're blaming China. People are blaming China, and they are making statements to great American citizens that happen to be of Asian heritage, and I'm not going to let that happen. Please.
You say you want to reopen the country, but most schools across the country are closed. 2 states now are closed for the rest of the school year. How are parents supposed to go back to work and educate their children right now?
The governors of the various states will have a lot of leeway. If we open up, and when we open up, the governors in certain states, for instance, you go to some of the states I just mentioned, those schools are going to be open. In many cases, they're open now, but the schools are going to be open. In other cases, Governor Cuomo, Gavin Newsom of California, certain governors are going to maybe have a decision to make. Now, they may make a decision to keep them open in a certain part of New York and maybe in Westchester County or wherever it may be, they'll keep them closed. But they're going to have leeway. We're giving the governors a lot of leeway.
Do you agree with the decision to close it several months out at this point? These governors are saying they're expecting a peak in the next couple of months and have made a decision for the rest
governors
of the
are
year.
going to make those decisions. That's going to be up to the governors. And they're very capable. They'll be able to
We're almost in the summer, so...
Will you explain why a $2 trillion economic stimulus is needed if you are going to reopen the country in a period of weeks, not months?
Because the virus has had a big impact on our country. So we're going to give a stimulus so that the workers can live their life. It was not their fault. It wasn't the workers' fault. And we are going to give a kick so that it's a kick. And this way, we think the workers can get a fair start. The small businesses we're taking very good care of. We want to take care of these small businesses. They really are the engine of this country. A lot of people don't know that. You know, everyone thinks of these great, big, beautiful businesses, who, by the way, have been very badly hurt also. But the small businesses have really historically been the engine, and they still are the engine of the country. And you'd be amazed. The workers love those businesses, and the workers contact us, and they want us to help those businesses because that's where they've made their living. That's where they've been paid a lot of money over the years. And, you've been seeing what's happened over the last 3 years where salaries and wages have gone up very substantially for those workers. And then we got caught by this sudden craziness coming into our country and coming all over the world. So we need to make sure that the companies are strong and that the workers are strong, and that's what we're doing. And, hopefully the Republicans and Democrats are going to be able to make a deal, and they're actually fairly close, but we'll see what happens. Please.
But does it still need to be $2 trillion is my question. Can it be
Well, one of
smaller
the
at this
things you're
point?
going to have to save companies that have been shattered. You're going to have to save various, you know a lot of the companies yourselves. We have a company that was, I think, the greatest company in the world, named Boeing. Boeing's going to need some help. Now, Boeing had some difficulty before. That's unlike others. We have other companies that didn't have a problem coming in. Boeing had the obvious problem that everybody knows about from a little more than a year ago, a double problem, and it was a big one. And then on top of it, as they're getting ready to really show their stuff, on top of it, we all get hit by this. And obviously, the airlines are going to have a problem, but the airlines aren't going to be buying from Boeing or from anybody else right now because of this difficulty. So we have to work with the airlines. We have to work with the cruise lines. We have to work with the companies like a Boeing, because Boeing's potentially, again, a great company. It had a very rough period of 13 months, a very rough period, a horrible period, an unbelievable period. If you would have told me this would have happened to Boeing, I wouldn't have believed it, because to me it was, truly one of the truly great, probably almost 1 point of GDP, if you can think of that. It's hard to believe that a company could have that kind of an impact. But Boeing, we have to work with it for two reasons. Number one, it's a great company that we have to save. Number two, it produces unbelievable numbers of jobs. And so, the numbers have to be reflective of that kind of a thing. Please, you know what I'm going to do? We have wonderful people behind us that are working very hard. and we want Bill to get back to the Department of Justice, and we want the Admiral to start going and doing your job, and the same thing with Deb. If anybody would have any questions, maybe I'll ask Mike to stay around, but if anybody would have any questions for the group, and otherwise I'll let them go back to work, please.
If we just clarify with Dr. Birx, we seem to be talking about different geographical slopes on this. The curve would be changing. And yet you just said that 28%
That's an alien.
coming out of New York gives an indication that we don't quite know when the seeds, to use your metaphor, were planted. So how confident are you on the start dates of each curve for each of the geographical areas that the president seems to be indicating we'll be adjusting the policy for?
So that's a very good question. So what we do know is now we can backtrack from people who get very seriously ill to when they probably got infected versus when they were exposed. And so when you start backing out each of those pieces, when you start seeing hospitalized patients, you know that the virus has probably been there for 3 to 4 weeks, substantially circulating within the population. So that's what we're looking for. Now, as all of our testing is improved, and we want to really applaud the group who has worked on it. You know, if you look at the pandemic flu preparedness, all of this was built on a flu platform. It was never, ever thought that you'd have a simultaneous respiratory disease hitting at exactly the same time as your flu hits in the country. And so when you're doing all of your flu surveillance, you could have small cases of these pneumonias and flu-like illnesses characterized as a flu-like illness for the last 4 to 6 weeks. And so that's really a caution to all of us. And so when we get through all of this, we'll be looking at each of the pandemic preparedness plans. A long way of saying we know Washington State is a little bit ahead of New York because of the hospitalization records. What we will get to as a country with the amount of testing that will be available is being able to do what the president talked about simultaneously doing containment contract tracing at the same time you're doing mitigation. And I think right now we put everything into mitigation. Yet if we geographically get specific data by zip codes and counties, we'll be able to approach this in a very laser-focused way, making sure that what we're doing in each of those areas is absolutely appropriate for where they are in their own little bell-shaped curve.
Dr. Birx,
Go ahead, please.
Dr. Birx, when will the government roll out the antibody test so people can know possibly if they've been exposed?
So several of them have come to the FDA, I believe. Obviously, that's something I am very interested in for 2 reasons. One, it will give us a retrospective on where these infections were, who was actually infected, and how really asymptomatic versus mild versus all of that comes into the spectrum. Secondly, by people who have high titers of those antibodies, those can become our solution with plasmapheresis for those in need and the making of hyperimmune globulin. So knowing who they are becomes really critical. But I think we're still a couple of weeks out. I have to go back and talk to the FDA where each of these are, because this is what saved us with when you do flu swabs, when you do strep throat swabs, and now where you do an HIV test. So these are the kinds of tests that we know will be critical in the future. I wanted to say one other thing, because you see a lot of numbers out there about 70% of the population is going to get infected or 60% of the population based on those models. Understand that the way you get to that number is you do nothing, and it goes through 3 cycles. So they're talking about this cycle that we're currently in, another cycle in 2021, and a third cycle in 21-22 in order to get that level of population infected. And you know we will have vaccines most likely by the 21-22 season. And we're going to hopefully have therapeutics in the fall of the next season. So the reason we're so much focused on blunting the curve for this piece is if the virus comes back, we'll have much more facility both for diagnosis, testing, monoclonal antibodies, treatments, and then the vaccine.
And Dr. Birx, a question about the serology blood tests, which some people said hold some real promise here. When will those be FDA approved, and when will they be widely available?
So that's what she was just asking about. So these IgGs and IgM, both point of care, I can tell you it would be no problem making ELISA today. But then you're drawing blood, you're processing blood, you're running plates. That's what we did in the past. We really want a finger prick type assay where you can just put a finger prick on and get your IgG and IgM. So that's what we're working on right now.
Realistically, how long till that's approved and available? Would you?
I can't answer because I have to look at where each of the companies are that are in their development processes.
Sounds like a while then.
Well, there's some that are developed now that they were using in Singapore. So we're looking at those to see how those work.
Should be fairly quick.
So we're looking at those, but we're very quality oriented because we want to make sure we don't give people false negatives or false positives.
I have a question for you. So we have a lot of very angry media all around this room, and they want one of these seats. But because of social distancing, we are keeping them empty. And they are keeping them empty. Will there ever be a time when all of those really angry people who don't like me much to start off with, but now they really don't like me, will there ever be a time when these seats are full to the brim like it used to be, where people are almost sitting on each other's lap? And this whole row over here is packed, and now they're outside wanting to get in, and they're very jealous of all of these reporters. Will we ever have that again, or is that something that will be, it'll look like this forever?
So we're learning a lot about social distancing and respiratory diseases. And I think those are the discussions we have to have in the future. It was what you were talking about, changing our whole behavior patterns of what we touch and being conscious of that. I remember when I was worried Saturday morning, I was trying to think, what all did I touch on Friday? Did I touch a doorknob? Did I do this? Did I do that? Did I not wash my hands? I mean, you go through this whole piece. Did I touch my face by accident? So I think this awareness that we all now have that we didn't have before, where we would have pushed through that door or turned that doorknob because we were in such a hurry. Now I think all of us think twice. I think all of you think twice.
But when the virus is gone, will the people be allowed to sit next to each other again, in your opinion, in a tight room with a tight...
I don't know. You'll have to look and see if we have a new respiratory piece. Certainly, this is the way we set up every clinic all around the world when we're worried about TB and TB transmission.
Dr. Burke, I'm wondering if you could comment on the new measures that Britain has put into place. Also, Germany has said it doesn't want to have crowds of less than 2 people except for families, which is a pretty restrictive number. Does that inform your thinking as you are coming up with advice for this next period for the president and the vice president?
The president and vice president have asked us to look at every single scenario in every single country, because the more data we have, the more our decisions can be completely data informed and really understanding what impact that has. I mean, we're interested right now. I mean, Italy obviously waited until about March 7th. The virus had been circulating for almost 4 weeks before actually going into that methodology. But for the first time, it looks like their mortality rates are starting to decline, which would be an illustration that things that they did 2 and 3 weeks ago may actually have an impact. Those are the kinds of data we're looking at very carefully, as well as very careful data within the United States of exactly where the virus is, what's the attack rate, has it moved out of its more confined geography, and really looking at each of those pieces of information. It's a lot of data to go through.
What do you make of Germany and Britain's moves?
Well, I think if you remember just a week ago, Britain had a very different approach. So everybody is adapting to their data. I haven't looked at the data that informed that decision, so I can't really comment on how they got to that decision there or in Germany.
Just to be clear, do you agree with the president's push to reopen the country? He said some of his doctors that he's talking to about this, he says, I think they're okay with it. Are you okay with it?
Guys, I'm going to go over the latest Q post. It's very important, so please stick around. Please stick around and show your support for this channel as well.
Our best medical recommendation based on all the data. That's what
by liking, sharing, subscribing, and donating.
And so that's
please.
what we'll be doing this week. We were going to have to do it this week anyway because we had to make a decision come Monday about the of 15 days to reduce social spread. So this is consistent with our mandate to really use every piece of information that we can in order to give the president our opinion that's backed up by data, not our perception, but our opinion that's backed up by data.
Data now, you think you could in a week? Like, what would your assessment be of right now?
Well, we're pulling all of the data pieces in now, and that's really critical. I will never speculate on data. I will have to see the data in order to really understand it.
And I think a big factor is the mortality rate. We're talking about the mortality rate. You know, when we first started, people were thinking about 3 and 4%, and now we're talking about a much lower number than that. I think it's a number that will be a lot different than people thought.
The mortality rate is driven almost exclusively, as we have talked about, by people with pre-existing conditions and older. So that has become, from the very beginning, that was our emphasis. You know, when we started 2 or 3 weeks ago talking with one another, our focus has been on how do we protect those with pre-existing conditions and the elderly. And I think these steps were about protecting with pre-existing conditions. So the whole key to changing the mortality rates is not just the hospital care, but preventing them from going into the hospital to begin with, because you don't want them to be infected.
But it's much lower than we originally thought. I mean, frankly,
yes,
it's a lot
Do you have
lower.
an estimate? Do you have a number?
Well, you know what the estimate in Wuhan was originally? It was over 3%. When they look outside of Wuhan, it was about 0.7%. It depends very much. In South Korea, it was about 0.7, 0.8%. But I don't want, that's like a tyranny of averages. And that's probably missing 50, 60% of the data because no one was testing asymptomatics. Remember, in every country, you had to be symptomatic to get a test. So we're making case fatality rates when we're missing a significant part of the data. So if anything, it will go lower, but I don't want that should not be reassuring because the death rates escalate with age and pre-existing conditions. So I really want to be clear that although it may be very low if you're under 40 or very low if you're under 50 and very low if you're under 70, there is an inflection curve. The average age of the person who's dying in Italy is in the mid-80s. So there is really a significant issue in our older generation that we feel strongly about protecting.
But Doctor, because it's just very interesting, the whole thing. It's an incredible subject. When somebody is very sick, they go to a doctor, go to a hospital, they record it, they're very sick, and then they live or they don't live, see what happens. But when somebody isn't very sick at all, I've heard people that they don't even know they had it and they're healing. Then I've heard people they have like a cold or they have a running nose, or even people that stay home and they think they have the flu, or in some cases they think they have a really bad case of the flu. But all of those people, that vast majority beyond vast majority of people, they're not reporting. They're not calling the doctor. They're not calling him. They're just getting better. So you would think it would have to be because the people that are sick are going to a doctor or they're going someplace and they're going to say, make me better. The people that are just short of that and people that aren't even, we have many people where they literally don't even know that they have it. So now you're building up the number of cases that we talked about before, and yet, so you don't know you don't know how many there are. It could be a vast number. Right. But what you do know is all the people that are really sick, because all of the people that are really sick are going to a doctor in some form, and the doctor is reporting it in all cases. So,
but that's why your question about the antibody test is so critical, because that will give us really a much better baseline to really understand.
So Mr. President, when you talk about how it could be a much bigger problem, you said that at several stages on whether or not we keep these guidelines in place. You talked about higher death. Are you talking about suicide? Like, help us understand.
I'm talking about many forms.
Is the risk here a depression? Is that what you're getting at?
We're talking about tremendous. Look, number one, it's the country itself. You're talking about tremendous disruption economically, but you're talking about massive depression, massive numbers of suicide.
You mean economic depression?
No, I'm not talking about economic, although you could be talking about that too.
So
what I'm talking about is
depression.
People suffering massive depression because they had a fantastic job and now they have no idea, what's going on now. Here's the good news. If they get the bill passed, we're taking care of those people. We're going to really take good care of those people, beyond what any country has done for people. But there's never been anything like this. No, I'm talking about where people suffer massive depression, where people commit suicide, where tremendous death happens. Now, in addition to that, we're talking about economic, where you really hurt a country. It could take years and years to recover. And the longer you stay out, the harder it is to recover. I happen to think that you're going to have, they call it the V. I think you're going to have a very big bounce back. I think it's going to be very big. We'll see. Well, I think the bill should pass. It should pass quickly. Take care of our workers. Take care of the companies that pay those workers. Help those companies over this rough patch. But the longer it takes, the harder it is to come back. I'd like to be able to bounce back to where we were. And ultimately, I think we're going to be even further than that. But I'm just saying that the what's happening when I say the cure, and the cure could be worse than the problem itself, right? That's what we can't let that happen. We can't let that happen. We've learned so much, and so many good things are going to happen for our country. We can't let this continue to go on. So what we're doing is we're meeting with the doctors, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, and others, and we've already started the discussion. And I can say that, I'm a student like your students. We're all learning this together. I learned a lot from Deborah. I learned a lot from Tony. I learned a lot from a lot of people that this has been their life's work. I've learned a lot. We're going to come up with a date, and we're going to do two things. We can do two things at one time. At the same time, we're going to be very vigilant. We're going to be so vigilant in terms of all of the things that we have to do that we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks ad nauseum. And I think it's going to be ultimately a far better solution for our country. Yeah, please, go ahead.
What advice is Dr. Fauci?
Deborah, why don't you go back? And we want her to go back to work immediately. Thank you. Great job. Thank you, Deborah.
Can I have one more question?
Yeah. Deborah?
One more.
Come on. They won't let you go.
So there's still 1 week left to go and 15 days to slow the spread. Doesn't talk of reopening the government quickly undermine that? I mean, why would anyone today still social distance or not run out to see the
Actually, it
trade
should
blossoms?
reinforce it. Because if people know that we're considering and trying to understand the impact of the good work that they have done, I think it reinforces them to do good work for the next whatever it is, days, weeks in the future. Because it says to them, we're looking very carefully of the impact that the work that you did, the selflessness that you brought to this, the ability to stay home with your fabulous children, your ability to social distance, the ability to give up on going to restaurants and just having takeout, all of those sacrifices, the ability of your protecting our elder generation, the greatest generation, and making sure they're safe in nursing homes but not seeing them. All of us have made sacrifices. I haven't seen my grandchildren in 3 weeks. I know other people are like that they have really made those personal sacrifices. What we're asking every American to do is to make those personal sacrifices for these next week and now, so that we can evaluate the impact of that sacrifice. So I think, if anything, it strengthens the willpower to say, yes, I can do this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. President. Sir, can I ask, where is Dr. Fauci today?
Go ahead. 1 second, please.
Sir, one thing some public health officials have said would be helpful is to open back up the ACA exchanges so that people who are worried about perhaps getting treatment could go sign up for insurance now, even though the open enrollment period is open. That's something you can do with
Well, it is. It's something we're talking to a lot of people about. We'll see what happens, but we're talking to people about it. Go ahead, please.
Where is Dr. Fauci right now? Why is he not at this briefing? Will he attend future ones?
I was just with him for a long time. And he's at the task force meeting right now. We have a task force meeting. He was there.
Does he agree with you about the need to reopen the economy soon?
Well, he doesn't not agree. I mean, we had a long talk, and he understands there's a tremendous cost to our country, both in terms of lives and in terms of economics, and in terms of many, many years of rebuilding something that was a fine-tuned machine. It was nobody's fault. It just happened. This horrible virus came from wherever, and it just happened. It just happened. He fully understands that. No, he's a good man. I like Dr. Fauci a lot, just so you understand. No, he's not here because we really weren't discussing what he's best at, but he'll be back up very soon. Yeah, please. And we'll be discussing dates and times with him. And we are talking about I don't want to use the word abbreviated because so much has been gained by what we've done, but we're talking about not during the period, during the 14 or 15 days, but not too long after that. Which I think is going to make a lot of people happy. It's going to make a lot of companies happy. It's going to make a lot of workers happy. Yeah, John?
Mr. President, so ultimately, will you take Dr. Fauci's recommendation on this, or are you thinking he's just looking at one set of inputs?
I would certainly, he's very important to me, and I will be listening to him. I'll be listening to Deborah, who you just spoke to. I'll be listening to other experts. We have a lot of people that are very good at this, and ultimately, it's a balancing act. But, the expression, we can do two things at one time. And we've got an incredible country. We have to keep it that way. And that includes not just economics, that also includes life and death. We have to keep it that way.
Mr. President, on the social distancing, you're talking about social distancing amongst us reporters, and you mentioned that one of our own has come down or potentially come down. Even if someone does come down in the White House press corps, would you pledge to the American people that you'll keep this room open? We're clearly 6 feet apart.
Well, I've gotten to like this room. This room is very convenient. I can say from the standpoint of being president of the United States, this has been a very convenient room for all of us. You people have set up. So I never even thought of closing it. So you're asking me a question that I never thought in terms of closing it. Can you give me a good reason to close it? We could build a larger
room. Opportunity to keep. I mean, you see.
I don't want to make commitments like that because it's not something I've ever really thought about. There are certain people that would like to see a larger room built. We need a larger room. Other presidents didn't need such a large room, but we need a larger room. And there are some people, but it's not something that is really on my mind, to be honest with you. Yes, please.
All right, so Q2, we know it's going to be brutal. Who are you listening to? Where is the brain trust to help get us through that period? And also, has your opinion of the chair...
Which period?
Q2, the second quarter, JP Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, they're all predicting a pretty dire second quarter. So who are you listening to? Where's the brain trust? You have all these medical advisors.
I think we're listening to many people. I mean, that was my world. I know many of those people. I have many people that are friends of mine, some enemies also, by the way. But, it's been a good world for me. I like that world. I like those people. They're tough and they're smart. But I listen to many of them. Ultimately, they all go into that computer, and I say, this is what we're going to do. I have to make a decision. This is a very important man right here to my right, our great vice president, because he's got a great instinct about things, too. So I'm going to be listening to Mike. He's headed up the task force, I think, brilliantly. I think it's going to go down as that because he's really done a job. He's been, not only has he been good, he's been soothing. He's really been great for the American public to watch it. And I mean that in the most positive way. There is a solidity with Mike that you don't find in many people. He's been soothing. He's been good for the American public. They have confidence in him. I think he's done an incredible job. And his advice is very, very important to me. So he's going to be he didn't come from that world, the world of finance, but he understands the world of finance. He was a great governor in Indiana. They did very well financially, too.
So you won't give us even one name of someone else you're listening to?
Well, I could give you a whole list, and we'll probably even set up committees. I'd rather not give you one because then I'm going to leave out. I have spoken to so many people, and I'm
turned on the spigot today.
What?
Are you happy with the Fed now that he's turned on the spigot?
I am happy with him, yes. I think I really think he's caught up, and he's done the right thing. And I think ultimately we will be rewarded because of the decision he made he's really stepped up over the last week. And I have to tell you, I called him today, and I said, Jerome, good job. You really did it. It might be. He was, a little bit slower than I would have liked in the sense of what he was doing. Now, other people might have liked it. But today I called up Jerome Powell, and I said, Jerome, you've done a really good job. I was proud of him. That took courage. And ultimately, you're going to see the fruits. Now, he's not finished. I mean, he's got other arrows in the quiver, or whatever they say. I will tell you, he's got plenty of arrows. But no, I'm very happy with the job he did.
President,
Mr. Vice President, you said that you'd bring the Secretary of Education here either yesterday or today. Why isn't she here today, and can we expect her this week? Also, yesterday you said you'd have some guidance for us on people who had potentially been exposed to the virus returning to work sooner. Do you still
Yes.
expect that guidance?
Yes, thank you for the question. I spoke to the Secretary of Education today, and we're going to have her at the podium very soon. The Department of Education has created a very easy waiver application for every state. It's virtually an automatic application for states that want to be excused from national standardized testing requirements. We reviewed that with all of the governors today. And also what's called distance learning, the accreditation process for higher education. The Secretary of Education, at the President's urging, has loosened the rules around distance learning. You're seeing many colleges and universities embracing distance learning now, putting it into practice. We've allowed for that. But also the Department of Education is setting up a website and best practices information for K through 12 distance learning. And she actually told me that the state of Florida and New Hampshire are really setting the pace on distance learning for K-12. My wife is an elementary school teacher. Obviously, there's different challenges for distance learning for K through 12 students, particularly younger kids. But the Department of Education is determined to continue to make those best practices available. We talked about the website that's being built, and she'll be coming and making a presentation on that because as the President reflected a little bit ago, as Dr. Birx did, we understand there's a lot of kids out of school, but parents are anxious. A lot of kids out of college and university, like my daughter, who's been dismissed from what remains of this semester of grad school, but is still doing the work, and the Department of Education is working earnestly to make that a reality.
See her this week?
I'm sorry?
We'll see her this week?
Yes, I'll have her here this week. She, given the issues that we were dealing with today with the Attorney General, we thought it might be just as timely in a few days. With regard to the guidance that you asked about, the President's Coronavirus Task Force is in the process of reviewing recommendations from CDC. We're working with the Department of Homeland Security. We'll be bringing those to the President as recommendations of approval. We're specifically looking at people that work in critical infrastructure, people in law enforcement, people in critical transportation. You can go right now to the Department of Homeland Security's website for a very useful definition of critical infrastructure. And if you look at the second page of 15 days to slow the spread, you'll see the President's recommendation for this 15 days is for people to stay home from work whenever possible, except for people working in critical infrastructure. And the guidance that we're looking forward to unpacking is how people who may have come into contact with someone that tests positive for coronavirus would be able to, if they have no symptoms, would be able to return to work, wear a mask for a certain period of time, but otherwise go back to business. It's a focus on critical infrastructure jobs. We should have that guidance before the President and before the public tomorrow.
Mr. President, we have understandably a patchwork of plans
By the way,
at the moment.
I just want to say while we're thinking about it, China has very much stepped up, as you probably know, the agricultural purchases from our farmers and some other purchases too. So they have a difficult time also right now, but they very much stepped up their purchases and significantly. So we're very happy about that. The other thing, I'm standing here in this case with our Vice President trying to let you ask anything you want having to do with the subject, which frankly is pretty much all anyone cares about right now. But because I think it's very important. I don't want to stand here for 2 hours and do this, but I think it's important that, I call it get it out of your system. Give us any question about it, because I think it's important for the public to know. So we don't want to answer 2 questions and leave. We want to answer your questions. That's why we're doing this for so long. And I think it gives our country confidence, and it gives, I think we're giving, we're all gaining knowledge. This has been an unbelievable process, but we're all getting out. So I want to, stay here. Sometimes we're here for 2 hours and we're answering questions. At least you will say that I'm very transparent. I think you're going to have a hard time saying he is not transparent, but we take a lot of questions from you. Unfortunately, some of them are repetitive, and some of them are fantastic questions. Some of these questions are great. Some of the questions lead to us solving a problem. You bring up problems that people didn't know existed. But I just want to let you know, so we're doing this so that we can be transparent, so that we can get everything out. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, we have a patchwork of plans, understandably, at the moment. Are you coordinating an economic response with the leaders of the G7 at the moment? You are?
Yeah, we're very, very close to them. We had a couple of great talks, plus I've spoken to a number of them individually. Yeah, we're very, very closely aligned. Please.
One for the Vice President real quickly, and then one for you. Vice President Pence, we were talking about those self-swab tests. When will those be available? They said this week, but do you know which day, and do you know where they're going?
The FDA just announced that decision, and my understanding is that they'll be now going directly to market. I'll have a good estimate for you on timeline, but and what the president has charged us to do at the task force is to promote as much creativity and as much innovation as possible. And frankly, Dr. Hahn, as the president said, at the FDA has done a remarkable job going through the review and approval process for these new methodologies really in record time. We reflected a little bit ago about the fact that we're pretty sure we set a record. I think it was 62 days to be in the phase 1 clinical trials of a vaccine that's actually in clinical trials today. But this new approval from a study done by United Health Group and the Gates Group means that now self-collected nasal swabs will become available. We're going to be working through FEMA with governors around the country to make sure and distribute those methods as well as the swabs or any other supporting material and get those into this vast array of labs that are now stood up around the country.
That's going to make a big difference, too, because that really is a process that's easy as opposed to the current process, which is not, as I've said, it's not pleasant.
My other question for you, I just want to get clarity on this. If we get to next week, you're deciding what to do with these guidelines, whether to ease them or reinstate them for another 15 days. Will you follow the advice of Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci if they say you should maintain them for
and
2
others,
more weeks?
yeah. And then ultimately I have to make a decision, but I certainly listen to them. I listen to a number of people, and I have a lot of respect for Dr. Fauci and for Dr. Birx, and I'll be listening to them and others that we have that are really doing a good job. John?
But are you worried that if you do this too quickly, if you lift these restrictions too quickly, the virus will start spreading unabated? And how can you be sure that that's not going to happen?
Well, we have now a system, and the system's in place. And we have two very, very powerful alternatives that we have to take into consideration. And as I said, one of the things that has really gotten me thinking about this. Number one, I'm looking at what's going on, and life is fragile and economies are fragile. But one of the things is the mortality rate, John. When we first started this, nobody knew anything about this particular virus. Very, very little. I mean, we were hearing numbers of 5%. That's an astronomical number when the flu is 0.001 and 2 and 3, right? And so 5% would be an astronomical number. Now we're seeing numbers that may be less than 1, and that's not including the exercise that I just went through where many people don't report. So everybody getting very sick is reporting, but nobody getting, not very sick. And that should be part of that equation. So that just keeps reducing the number. So the mortality rate is that's a big, to me, that's a very big factor. When we were hearing 3 and 4%, remember we had one day where we thought it was 5%, and we were getting a lot of bad numbers from countries that, I don't know why, but we were getting a lot of bad numbers. I do wish, our relationship's very good with China, but I wish they could have told us about this a little bit sooner. You know that. But the mortality rate's a big thing for me because I think we're very substantially under 1% now. That's it's still terrible. It's still the whole thing. The whole concept of death is terrible. But there's a tremendous difference between something under 1% and 4 or 5 or even 3%. So that's something that we're learning now. And I think the number may be lower than people think because of what I've been saying. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, have you instructed Secretary Mnuchin and the others working on this bill with Congress to meet some of the demands the Democrats have made with regard?
Well, I thought we had a deal last night, and then the Democrats changed the deal. So we had a deal last night that was going to be phenomenal for the workers, which is my number one aim. I want to take care of the workers. And we had a deal. I was pretty sure we had a deal last night. If you would have told me at a certain time, like about 9 o'clock, I would have told you we pretty much have a deal. And then all of a sudden it changed fairly rapidly. And, it was unacceptable. It would have been bad for our country. And they were asking for things that would have not been good. I mean, things that bore no relationship to what we're talking about. We said, that's not the game. We can't play that game. So we'll see. Look, the Democrats do want to make a deal. But, Jeff, I thought we had a deal last night.
And if you come further into this process weeks or months from now and decide that further stimulus is needed, will you be able to work with Speaker Pelosi on that?
I'll work with anybody to help the American people. I will.
Yes,
I don't
you will.
care who it is. I'll work with anybody if I feel I'm going to help the American people and the American worker. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, some states are still reporting a shortage in materials needed to actually process the tests. So what is the administration doing to get all the states the materials that they need?
Well, you just saw the Admiral, and you just saw the FEMA people, and you just saw the Army Corps of Engineers, and, we're building hospitals in New York and California and state of Washington and New Jersey. I just made a commitment to Phil that we're going to help him out with some of the areas in New Jersey, which is very important, a great state. So we're doing a great job, and we're there to help the governors. But, the governors are on the front line, and they can do some of it themselves. Governor Cuomo, he's been working very hard, and he worked with me on the hospitals and medical centers, because it's not just hospitals, it's called hospital, and another is medical centers, of which we're building numerous for New York. And we have it all laid out. We have Javits Center, and then we have other locations throughout the state. And I think it's really a great plan. And we're going to have FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers involved, and I've worked with them, we're building a wall. We're up to over 150 miles of wall on our southern border, which is now turning out to be even more important than we originally thought. But I always thought it was very important having borders. And so I'm working with the Army Corps of Engineers, and I see what they do and how they do it. And that used to be my business, and I know it very well. And they're very professional. They're really good. So you're going to see a lot of good things happening in many states, beyond the states I just mentioned. In many states, we're working with Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida. We're working with Governor McMaster, right, in South Carolina, where they have a little bit of a breakout, not by comparison, but a little bit. We're working with many governors in many states. Actually, states where you almost would think that they have it under pretty good control, and they've done a great job. But we're working with many states, and that's primarily FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers. And they're capable of doing it.
Mr. President, back to the stimulus. Can I ask a question on behalf of my radio pool colleague, Tamara Keith from NPR?
Sure.
She asked me to ask this to you.
Sure.
You just mentioned that there were some things last night that were unacceptable, which would have been bad for the country, that the Democrats were bringing into the stimulus conversation. Her question was, what provisions would you absolutely not support in this plan right now?
Well, a lot of the provisions that they wanted, like stock buybacks, I agree with that. That's good with me. I mean, I don't like them buying back stock. I like them spending money on airplanes and on their employees and their real business, not buying back stock. And I don't know if that provision is going to be put in one way or the other, but I'm all for it. And many Republicans, I can tell you, are for it, and I think many Democrats are for it. But they were putting that out like it was a problem last night. Not a problem for me, I can tell you that. Please.
She also wanted to know, how much would you want the cash relief directly for Americans? What number would you like to see?
Well, I think what you're talking about right now is at least $3,000 per family of four. Isn't that correct? $3,000 for a family of four, which is bold. And if this continued, we have to build this up. And if this continued, we'll do something else, and we'll do more at a later date. But that's a big number. If you remember, they were talking about $500 and $600. And we are all for that. As of this moment, it's $3,000 for a family of four. Please, go ahead.
When you're looking at some of the economic headwinds that we're facing, I'm wondering if one of the things you're concerned about is the strength of the dollar, and if there's something that we should do to address that, including possible.
Well, we have a very strong dollar, and a strong dollar is good in many ways, but it's also tough in many ways because it makes trade much harder. It makes it much harder for Caterpillar Tractor and other companies to sell their goods to Europe or China or wherever they may be sold. So having a strong dollar is good, but it really sounds good. But the truth is it makes certain things like trade much tougher. And our dollar, I don't know if you've seen, but our dollars remain very strong, especially against other currencies, very, very strong, which, again, makes that trading more difficult. But there's something nice about having a strong dollar, right? No matter what. I'm president, it's nice to have a strong dollar. But it does make trading more difficult.
Just to go back to stimulus, you're confident you're going to get a deal?
Well, I think the Democrats want a deal, and I think we want a deal. So it would be very foolish if they didn't make a deal. The American public is demanding a deal. I can tell you the Republicans want to make a deal, and we want to make a deal that's good for the workers, good for the country. And I really believe the Democrats want to make a deal, but they have to stop asking for things that bear no relationship to what we're talking about.
Correct.
A lot of laudatory things
That
to
are
say.
actually bad, that are actually not good for the country.
You've been very laudatory to the Democratic governors. You mentioned Governor Cuomo. You mentioned some others.
Yeah.
If you'd get a stimulus bill, I'm wondering if you'll extend this bipartisan goodwill to Speaker Pelosi and invite her here for a signing ceremony.
Well, let's see what happens. I have to see what happens. Right now, we don't have a deal, but I think we're very close. I mean, when I left, which was quite a while ago now, because, again, we're trying to answer every question, so there's no... It'd be nice if you were just exhausted and said, that's it, we can't do anymore, but there's always hands up. But and maybe one of those questions is great and unique. But, no, look, I want what's good for the country. And if that means meeting, I think that's great. I just want what's good for the country, great for our workers, great for the citizens of the United States. That's all. It's pretty.
You've spoken with Pelosi.
Well, it's been a little while. Yeah, please.
Both you and the Vice President have been tested for the virus. Also, Mrs. Pence. Has the First Lady been tested?
Yes.
And?
She's great. She's fine.
Negative?
Negative, yes. Okay? Negative.
One of the sticking points on the stimulus, who's going to hold Treasury accountable for this $500 billion corporate rescue fund?
Well, you need that to help all of these companies that have a chance of not being companies anymore. And
guys, just letting you know, I've been live for over 3 hours,
deals will be
so
made,
please show
and
your
we're
support and love for
talking
this
to
channel,
certain
okay?
people, some of the greatest
We're going to
people
keep going.
in the history of Wall Street, frankly, where when they do a deal, we'll have stock for America. We'll take back stock for the United States. At the same time, most importantly, we'll keep those companies healthy. But we can also make incredible deals for the country so that number will increase exponentially. I mean, it's a great
The
thing.
fund is about the lack of oversight for Treasury having this unilateral authority to dole out all of this money.
Well, look, I'll be the oversight. We're going to make good deals. We make good deals, but these companies need it. Even if it was just a simple loan, which would be, but we can do better than that. And the companies are willing to do better than that. I mean, they got hit. Most of these companies, it was through no fault of their own. There are a couple where it was, they were troubled before they came in. We talked about one. It had trouble. Nobody can believe it, actually, in that one. But these companies are, through no fault of their own, they have difficulty. I mean, 2 weeks ago, these companies were among the most solid institutions in the world. You'd want to buy their bonds. Their bonds were rated AAA or whatever their highest rating is today. And now all of a sudden they have difficulty because they've been closed up. So you need something to keep them going. But that money is not going to be wasted money. That money is going to be seen, and we could multiply that number by many times coming back to the American public. That could be a phenomenal thing. But most importantly, it's going to keep these great engines of jobs and ingenuity going. Very important. Yeah, how about one or two more and we'll go.
Remember, guys, I will be covering the Q Post and call-ins after this.
The way you handled the crisis so far, are there words you regret?
I don't think so. I'm looking forward. I don't look back. I guess there's always something everybody regrets. There are things in your life you regret. We all regret things, but I really like to look forward. I'm a person that looks a forward thinker, I guess they would say. No, I think that we've handled it really well. It seems to be the American public thinks that we've handled it well if you look at polling data. But I'm not interested in myself. I'm interested in the American people. We have to get this going. We have millions and millions of jobs that were solid as a rock 3 weeks ago, and today there could be questions. And the faster we get it going, the more likely it is that those stores, little businesses, big businesses, medium-sized businesses open up. And we'll get it going very fast. I really believe this is a pent-up demand. I think that as soon as we say, let's go, and it's going to be pretty soon. It's going to be pretty soon. It's going to be sooner than people would think. We're in a position to take care of our country, but at the same time to have the country really go up like a rocket ship economically, and that's great for jobs. It's great for everything else. Yeah.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask a question for a colleague who can't be in the room because of social distancing.
For whom?
A colleague who can't be in the room because of our social distancing about Florida. He wanted me to ask, should Governor DeSantis have closed all of the beaches in his state?
Well, that's really up to the governor. I mean, I think that, first of all, he's a great governor. He's done an incredible job, Governor DeSantis of Florida. And on the beaches, I guess he's recently made a decision, but you do have a lot of room on the beaches. And, I think it's just a decision that he made originally, and then he's refined it, and then he's done something that a lot of people agree with what he's done. But he's done a lot of things right. And he's been truly, he cares so much about health care. He cares so much about the cost of prescription drugs. He's been a fantastic governor for Florida. They're very happy with him. The whole concept of the beach, it's a very interesting issue. There are a lot of open spaces that includes parks and other things. But rather than relying on social distancing, they're probably going to do that one a different way. But I would imagine when we make our decision, things like that would be opened up. And then people will remember what they're supposed to be doing. Well, I want to thank everybody very much.
All right, guys.
We'll see you tomorrow sometime, and
let's go.
We'll get this going, I think, really well. Thank you all very much.
We'll get this going really well, right? We will get this going really well, he says. Guys, sorry for not interjecting as much as I was beforehand. Let me just make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Let me pop you guys back up on the chat. Boom. Here we go, guys. Here we go. All right. Good to go, babies. Good to go. All right. We got to talk about Q. Q has been posting. I went over them. Makes complete sense to me. This was an attack. Nothing less. Let me pop myself back up on the screen so it's more personable. A lot taking place, guys. A lot taking place. There we go, babies. There we go. We good? That's a little too big. That's a lot better. There we go. Perfect. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and talk. We got to talk about this. Big time, big time. All right. Down, put down. Boom. Let's talk about posts. Real quick, guys. We had some super chats as well. Let me get through this quickly. And again, guys, your loyalty, I appreciate it. Always understand that. I am a loyalist as well. Super Tad 108, thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. Jamie Campbell as well. Thank you so much, Jamie. Big ups to you. Scoot up a little further. Laura QAnon, welcome back. Good to see you. Wonder why Bar is there. May, man, hope you're doing well. I am doing good. Thank you, Laura. Bar just had to talk about some little bit of stuff there, all right? Back at work. Thank you so much, Lauren Canis. I hope I enunciated and pronounced that right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Patriots Revenge with a big super chat. Thank you so much, Patriots Revenge. Love you, Thomas. I'm a dude, by the way. No homo. I get it, Bubba. I get it, man. Patriots Revenge. Thank you so much. Rain, I guess it's pronounced. Sorry if I messed that up, though. But thank you so much for the super chat. Very thoughtful. Thank you for your generosity. Very sweet of you. And J-Ron, 66. Thank you so much for the super chat, my friend. I greatly appreciate it. We are the news now. Thank you so much for your super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Let me put back on this. Boom. Now we're good. And let's go ahead and take some more. Super Tad 108. Wow. Thank you so much for the super chat. William Bishop. Big time, baby. Thank you so much, William. All right, let's go ahead and do this, guys. And thank you so much for your patience. I know that was a very, very long press conference. Again, guys, I was there. I was listening. I've been on air for over 3 hours. So let me put myself down here. Let's go ahead and go into the posts. Boom. Boom. All right, guys. Minimize that. Figure it out. All right, let's go. Oh, okay, it's all set up. Perfect. Oh, I gotta reset it. Down a bit. My bad. Let's do this, babies. Let's do this. Big drops, guys. Big drops. I said reset. There we go. Thank you. All right, guys. So this was the first one. This is massive. This is massive, guys. We will start here. Okay? From 2007, severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus as an emerging and re-emerging infection. Emerging and re-emerging, right? The presence of a larger reservoir, guys, of SARS-CoV-like viruses in a horseshoe. This is 2007 now. 2007. In viruses in horseshoe bats, together with the culture of eating exotic mammals in southern China, is a time bomb. This was predicted in 2007. All right, this is predicted in 2007. They knew it was going to happen. They didn't quote China virus, right? The China virus. This was weaponized, right? A reservoir just waiting to happen. They knew this. You don't think they didn't know this? They knew this, right? Worth remembering, and by I'm saying who knows this? China knew this. They knew that this was just bubbling, waiting to take place, and they did nothing. Don't trust them. And I know that the president is not, I don't think he's happy with Xi anymore. Not after this crap. Wuhan Institute of Virology. Geolocation? Why is it there, right? First biosafety lab, 4 lab in 2015. City, province, origin, hot zone, geolocation. They knew about this. It's created there. It was released there. Unbeknownst to Harvard University beginning in 2011, and Lieber became, it says here, a strategic scientist at Wuhan University of Technology, WUT, in China, and was a contractual participant in China's 1,000 Talents Plan form in or about 2012-2017. Rapid spread. Why? University professor, we could see here, and 2 Chinese nationalists charged in 3 separate China-related cases. These people in these big universities are not to be trusted, especially Harvard. A lot of CA there. The Department of Justice announced today that the chair of Harvard University's Chemistry and Chemical Biology Department and 2 Chinese nationalists have been charged in connection with aiding the People's Republic of China. Dr. Charles Lieber, 60, chairman of the Department of Chemistry and Chemical Biology at Harvard University, was arrested this morning. This is from January 28th, not that long ago. Excuse me. Was arrested this morning and charged by criminal complaint with 1 count of making a materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement. Lieber will appear this afternoon before Magistrate Judge Marion B. Baller in federal court in Boston, Massachusetts. Yang Qin, of 29 years old, a Chinese nationalist, was charged with an indictment today with 1 count each of visa fraud, making false statements, acting as an agent of foreign government, and conspiracy. These are big time things. Why is this Harvard University professor with this person? Making false statements, visa fraud, acting as an agent of foreign government, and conspiracy? This man is currently in China. Why? Ask yourselves these things. Do you see the connection, right? Yaozing Zhen, another Chinese national, was arrested on December 10, 2019, not that long ago, at Boston's Logan International Airport and charged by criminal complaint in attempting to smuggle 21 vials of biological research to China. On January 21st, are you seeing what is taking place, what I'm reading? On January 21st, 2020, Zhen was indicted on 1 count of smuggling goods from the United States and 1 count of making false, fictitious, or fraudulent statements, and has been detained since December 30th. These people are war criminals. Guys, this is what they are. Lindsay Lara B. Hebel, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, I have a personal information on the last Q post, which I'd like to discuss off air before sharing on air. I contacted my senators as I am one of the extensive web references in the Daily Caller article. Wow. Yes, Lindsay. Somebody, Shan, please get this person's information for me, please. Lindsay, please, Sunny, or Shan Anon, we'll talk to you personally, okay? And we'll get you, we'll get in contact. It's very interesting, okay? Please stand by. Julie Rotolo, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, thank you, Thomas, for all your hard work. Always watch your show. Did you see the look POTUS gave the reporter when she asked if the First Lady had been tested? I did. It was a little alarming, in my opinion. A little alarming. They were making this, my friends. I don't know what they were doing with vials of this stuff taking it back over there, but in the same instance, very, very unnerving. This is an absolute weapon. And as we can see here, as Q breaks all of this down for us, right? He's about to break all of it down. So yes, unbeknownst to Harvard University being in 2011, Lieber became a strategic scientist at Wuhan University in the technology WUT in China, and was contractual participant in China's 1,000 talent plan formed in about 2012-2017. Rapid spread. As we can see here, the closing of 21 million cell phone accounts in China may suggest a high CCP virus death. This is huge, my friends. Absolutely huge. A security guard reads his cell phone while securing the entrance of a nearly empty shopping mall in Beijing. 21 million fewer cell phone users in China may suggest a high CCP virus death toll. These numbers have been fudged, my friends. Fudged. I don't know why they would put this on there when you had to sign up to read this stuff. But anyway, we'll move forward. What was the goal? This is where we get into the nitty-gritty. This is when we learn what the plan was. This is a plot to stop what the president has done. In POTUS's rallies, checkmate. In POTUS's economic gains, they've done that. In POTUS's unemployment gains, they're trying. They haven't done it, but they've stopped it as of right now. In POTUS's ABCDE, keep it going, right? They tried to do this. Weekend prior to the presidential election, this was their plan the entire time. This was strategically done and placed during this time. Delay the U.S.-China trade negotiations, stop dead in its tracks. Also, shelter Biden public appearances, they've done that as well too. Remember how bad they were getting? Really, really bad. Every time he would meet with somebody, it just kept getting worse and worse. He's picking fights with people who support him, questioning him. He was falling apart. They stopped it. Remember, we were at war. There is a war within this country, with the deep state of this country and all other countries around us. Remember, this has to be their last swing, their last stand was to do this. But nothing will stop what is coming, right? Nothing can stop this. Shelter Biden's debates, right? Exactly. They stopped it. Push new revised presidential 2020 vote by mail. It's unsecure. We can't have that. And they knew it, and they know it's unsecure because that way they can steal the election from the president. This is what they were trying to do. Push D, right? Push the Democratic wish list unrelated. Items CV bill, voting amendments, right? Absolutely. What is the mathematical probability this occurs? The time bomb explodes at the exact point in time that allows for maximum damage above prior to the presidential election. This was strategically done by the Democrats. They are the enemy of the American people, and they should be arrested and charged for this. This is a criminal offense. They knew what they were doing. They hate us. They hate God. They hate the families. They hate everything about this country. They hate America. They are communists. Outside of a standard deviation, who benefits the most? Mueller failed. Impeachment failed. Why was it critically important that the impeachment be rushed in the House? The MSM, the Democrat Party, Hollywood narratives all have failed. The coup failed. Democrat Party leading nominee established a super T prior to lockdown takeover. Sanders eliminated. Biden, the frontrunner. Accoms. Razor simply states that any of the given set of explanations for an event occurring, the simplest one is most likely the correct one. 17. This is what they were trying to do, and they did it. They were swinging for the fences, and they did it. Let's move forward. These people are sick. prevent the Democrat Party destruction by any means necessary. They are killing people. They are killing people with this virus, and they don't care. They are not getting people money. They've postponed it. You see their agenda. It'll get passed. But this is a slap in the face to the American people. This is all that it is. A slap in the face to the American people. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing. As we can see here, this was a destructive move. They were trying to steal the election. This is what they're trying to do. No voter ID to get a ballot. And anonymous ballot harvesting? Why is that hidden in Speaker Pelosi's coronavirus bill? These are the issues that shouldn't be addressed at this time. The president is trying to help us. If an individual in a state is eligible to cast a vote in the election for federal office, the state may not impose any additional conditions or requirements on the eligibility of the individual to cast a vote in such elections by absentee ballot, mail included. We're all stuck at home. We can't go out to the ballot boxes. So what are we going to do? We're going to mail it in? That's too unsecure. Why is this in the coronavirus bill? He's talking directly to us about this. He's saying, they're not going to agree with it because they're putting in stuff like this. They're sneaking it in. You don't think he has people reading this? This is insane, my friends. Insane. You have got to see the manipulation that they're trying to do. The key that opens all doors, and quote, the start is right around the corner. This is from the 10th of March. Farrell, Spygate can make Watergate look like a third-rate burglary. The Spygate scandal is shaping up in the most significant political abuse of government power in history, and it may even be larger than people expect. The investigation by U.S. Attorney John Durham into the origins of the FBI Russian collusion investigation, or as President Trump prefers to call it, the witch hunt, continues to expand. Durham reportedly opened criminal investigations last fall, and unlikely the narrow Justice Department Inspector General's review of the abuse of the FISA process. Durham is looking into the questionable activities, as well as Barr, as well as Pompeo. They've all looked into this. In particular, the CA and its former director, John Brennan. This will be the flood, my friends. This is what will take place. The widening scope involves not only the agencies being investigated, but who is being targeted and why. Earlier last week, Cheryl Atkinson reported that based on her sources in the intelligence and law enforcement communities, the authorizations to spy on Trump functionaries, such as Carter Page or former campaign manager Paul Manafort, were actually pretext for a much more expansive web of surveillance. That could include anyone in contact with Page, Lisa Page, or even anyone twice removed from the ostensible target. Hence, thousands of people could have been unknowingly caught up in the Spygate web and are still unaware that their privacy had been violated under severely compromised FISA process. Think former presidents. Obama is right in the middle of this. These people are sick. Very, very dangerous, my friends. Very dangerous indeed. This is the key that opens all doors. All doors will be opened, and we will be seeing this in real time. The simplest explanation tends to be the correct one. Absolutely. All right, guys. Let me go ahead and open up the phone lines. Let's do this. Gracious, guys. I'm pretty tired. I'm going to be honest with you. While I'm doing this jam out. Alright? Again, my friends, I've been live for over 3 hours. Starting to lose my voice. Alright, guys, if you want to call concerning what has just taken place, let me know. I'm about to give you the call-in code and everything. The time is now. Here you go, my friends. Remember, my platform is your platform. I give you this as much as I can, okay? As much as I can. Mikey D says, research to cover The Economist 2020. All right, I will. Mark Atwood, thank you so much for the super chat too, my man. Thank you. Thank you, Mikey D. Appreciate it, Bubba. Hold up. C. Whistle. Weisel. C. Weisel, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, keep it up. I certainly will. Thank you. Hilo 4432, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, thank God that's over. It was a long presser, wasn't it? William Bishop, thank you so much for your super chat, William. I appreciate it. And I believe we're all caught up. Mark Atwood from across the pond. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Can't see it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. There you go. There you go, guys. Oh, that's better. By the way, how many people are watching? Have we hit over 1,000 likes? Excellent. Thank you so much, guys. 1.1 thousand likes. I appreciate that. Every time. Every time. I love hitting that number. Q posts were mind-blowing, by the way. Don't sleep on that. That's huge news. Anons are going to tear that apart. I can't wait. Waiting on you guys to call. If you have any, you guys said you wanted it open white. I didn't put anything on slow mode. Oh, I mean, it's been on slow mode for however long we've been doing this. It's always on slow mo. Mikado 16, thank you, my friend. Mikado says, for what it's worth, I go to war with you any day of the week. We appreciate the hard work you put in every single day. Mikado 16, you have no idea how much that means to me, man. You have no idea. Great super chat, by the way. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. All right, guys, here we go. We got calls coming in. Let me mute. Okay. Caller 8066, hello?
Hey, it's Big Red.
Big Red, what's up, Bubba? How are you? Good to hear from you.
Hey, doing all right, brother. Thank you for having me on.
Yes, sir.
We heard today, I can't remember if it was the president or one of his assistants there on the stage, but they were talking about how there wouldn't be a national lockdown, but more like a regional thing to keep the economy going.
Yes.
And if you have taken notice, I don't know if you saw over here in Pennsylvania, they closed 8 additional counties, like almost like a shelter-in-place kind of order.
Right, yes.
And I think that's what we're going to see. And just like the president was talking about, was like certain areas of New York would be open, others would be quarantined. Well, the whole thing stems from that piece of paper I got today. I sent you a private message with our transportation paperwork.
Yes.
That's what that picture was.
Okay.
So they're starting to institute, in these no travel zones where you're going to need this paperwork to be able to get through any checkpoints that pop up.
Wow.
So that's what we're seeing, and that's what they just told us at work, is that we need to keep that with our company ID in our personal vehicles so that we can come to and from work should cases continue to mount like they are in our area.
So they're giving you paperwork because they're going to be shutting down regional areas for they're going to be shutting it down because of this quote unquote virus. So you're having paperwork. If you don't know, Big Red is a truck driver. Calls in all the time, great info, and you have to have paperwork to be able to get into these so-called areas, right?
Well, it's mainly for personal conveyance, for me to be able to get from my house to where I park my truck, and that vice versa. Like, they're locking down each individual county in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So where I live at is Carbon County. We have no confirmed cases, but all around us, we jokingly say Carbon County's got the dome of protection or a hedge of protection against us, so we don't get any issues. But it's a long joke. But
yeah,
everywhere around us, we're like circled with cases, and it's just funny because if it does get to the point where they don't want people traveling because they're already doing the shelter in place, we're going to need that to be able to get to work. Because I live 2 counties away from where my job is located.
Right.
I'm worse. Like I was talking about that the other week. My buddy who works out in New York City was telling me that he is getting this kind of papers. I was skeptical, and then I got it handed to me today at work. I was like, okay, there's something going on here. But it's starting to come together. And with what the president said, it makes sense. They're going to put down the troublesome areas.
Yeah.
So
yes. People are also saying, yes, Big Red, correct about the paperwork. American Trucker in Midwest got the same paperwork.
So what I think would be interesting to see is, are these quarantine zones they lock down specifically countywide, are they matching up with these sealed indictments?
100%. 100% they are. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to dig into that a little more. Maybe we can talk about that at another time. But I'd like to see what the county breakdowns are in each of these different areas based on the quarantine numbers of confirmed cases versus how many sealed indictments are in each county. I bet you we see some interesting coincidences.
We will, my man. We are. And again, you keep in touch with me, okay? You be safe out there, Big Red, all right?
Yep. Anything comes up, I'll let you know. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bubba. Bye-bye. Yeah, guys, I just want everyone to know that if you are enjoying this, this has been going on for a long time, long stream, so please show your support by liking, sharing this stream, subscribing to this channel. No joke, I can look at the analytics. 20% of the people that watch this show, watch this channel, are not subscribed. Make sure that you're subscribed and make sure that your notification bell is turned on. So when I post, you'll know. We go live a lot, okay? A Little Too Spicy. Thank you so much. I look forward to your shows every day. Great job. Thank you, Little Too Spicy, always for your donations. And we have Mel C on the line. Welcome, Mel. How are you?
Hey, Thomas. How you hanging in there?
I'm okay, sweetie. A little tired.
Yeah, that's why we're calling in.
That's right.
Give you a little bit and give you a break.
Yes, ma'am.
So, couple things I'm noticing. One of the things today when POTUS was speaking and talking about how somebody thought they were going to die and got the cure, could that potentially be Hanks? We know he's in quarantine. If he confesses within the 15-day period, perhaps he gets the cure. If he doesn't and stays true to his blood oath, they know. Madonna just put out a very interesting video in which the end of it, she ended with lights out.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
Just noticed that. Also, I've been paying attention to my governor, what he's been saying, how he's been acting. Notice something. Somebody said something last night, I believe it was Millie Weaver, about POTUS wearing a different hat, which made me think, okay, Cuomo's really dressed down lately and he's behaving very well with POTUS. So, okay, maybe he's officially gone good. and now is just dealing with the de Blasio mess in New York City.
Right.
And that's his last obstacle. So now Governor Newsom, he's been dressed down the tiniest bit. Could be stretching it, but he's been being just dressed down the slightest bit. Today he made a declaration a little while ago, and he was more official. I'm going to pay attention again to what he says. Governor Murphy today in New Jersey. Whew, the comms were real. So I see him, he's still dressed up. I didn't hear him say anything about telling people to hide underground anymore. I did hear, by the way, his superintendent of the New Jersey State Police say that he specifically referenced the 6th. I don't know why, but he referenced April 6th. So let's pay attention to that date.
Okay.
Not sure. So the other thing, now we have a little bit of chaos still going on. He isn't really enforcing, although my governor isn't really enforcing just yet, although I know it's coming. He's doing another presser tomorrow, but he just had a conversation with POTUS today. I knew it would be discussed. He had a conversation with POTUS today, and he's officially willing to work with him. I heard Murphy giving out comms to POTUS saying, you know, I'm willing to work with him. He's been crediting him, telling him he's been doing a good job. Okay, let's see how it goes. The response tonight from POTUS was that I'm willing to work with him. Is that communication? Is that active communication? Are we watching it in real time? Who knows?
One thing you bring up that I find very interesting is that, you know, you're talking about Hanks getting sick or whatever. A lot of what was said today was suicides. Suicide week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What if these people start offing themselves?
I think so. Pay attention to what celebrities are doing right now. Pay attention. I mean, not for nothing, but David Spade's Lights Out Bunker. I mean, if you're paying attention to what they're saying and how they're saying it, you know, and how they're ending their calls, let's see. You know, I mean, right now at this point, just watch everything. You know, it's kind of...
It's very hard.
Right?
You know, so much information.
Here's the big one for you. It's kind of like talking to God, right? You got to look for communication everywhere.
Right, yes.
All right. I will let you guys have a good night. Love you, Patriots.
Thank you, Mel. Have a good night. Thank you.
You as well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mel C, everybody. A straight patriot. I can promise you that. 9010, what's up?
Hi, Thomas. This is Ms. Brewer.
Hi.
I wanted to bring something to your attention. The last couple of days, POTUS has been wearing striped ties.
Yes.
It's important. You need to look it up. I can't remember what it's about, but it's about authority, and there's something else involved with it. Just look up what striped ties mean.
Okay. I noticed they were all wearing blue ties as well.
Yeah, but the stripes mean something, and yesterday they wore stripes, and today he wore stripes. Pompeo had a striped tie, Pence had a striped tie, and POTUS yesterday. And today, Pence and I think POTUS both had striped ties on.
Yeah, I noticed the ties every single time. Very interesting. I'll have to look into that, though.
Robert looked it up, and I can't remember what he saw, and he tried to send you a message. I think it's in your in the chat, but I can't remember what he said it talked about for sure. But it was important.
His name's Robert?
Yeah, Robert Brockway. I think he's under Bob or Rob 17Q. Okay, he's changed his chat name on there, so I'm not really sure, but that's my boyfriend. He was looking at it.
Okay. Yes,
So,
tell him to DM me on Twitter. I'll follow him.
Yeah, because it was something to do with, I don't know if it's wartime or something like that. That's why I was saying it's important, but I'm not really sure. It's an authoritative statement.
Yeah. We'll see. I'd like to look into that, so get that information to me.
Yeah, I know you have tons to do, so I appreciate you. I just want you to know about it, so that if it's important and we need to know it's a comm or something like that from him, you know, I appreciate you, Thomas, and thank you so much for all your hard work. We love you.
Thank you, ma'am. That means so much to me. You have no idea.
And God bless you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Keep
you.
you safe.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Thank
right,
you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Very, very sweet. Very sweet. 0398, what's up?
Hey, Thomas, it's Kay. How are
Hi,
you
Kay.
doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm okay. I was feeling like everything was under control in the presser until I got a creepy vibe from the blonde press guy on the audience left side. He was like in the middle when the camera panned out to them. He kept pressing like 3 times this one question. I felt like it was a leading question to the president, whether he was going to keep opening businesses regardless of what if there was another outbreak or expansion of outbreak. And the reason why that creeped me out is I thought, how convenient a question to feed now and then send out minions, bad guys to make things spread in nefarious ways. So I was thinking, well, okay, I hate to be a fear monger, but maybe we can do prayer or something about with that in mind.
Yes,
like,
ma'am.
and not, I don't know, just
No,
an idea.
that is a great idea, and I think that's the best way to end the show too.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to hang up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Kay. I hope you have a great evening.
You too.
Bye-bye. Guys, let's not panic. Okay, this is Patriots are in control. Q has said we're safe. We've just got to batten down the hatches. They're not going to go out. They're not going to go out laying on their back. They're going to fight back. They're dying. The evil is dying, and you think they're just going to just go out? No. It's going to get bad. This is it. Like, this is their, 17's dropping again. I can't just keep the show going forever. I'd love to. But, guys, you have to understand that, no more. I'm wrong. Reset? All right, yeah, no more drops. Listen, there is a time for panic, but it's not this time. Okay? Let's just understand that. They're going to try and do everything, but remember, 17, the president, so on and so forth, they're all ahead. They're 5 steps ahead of them, okay? They're 5 steps ahead of them. The Groove, I want to thank you so much for that super chat. And I love the super chat. It says, "Hi, Thomas, best live call-in on YouTube." Thank you, Groove. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Very nice. And from Hazmat Cag 2020, boss, panic. It's so obvious. It is very obvious, but they're not going to go down without swinging. They'll pull anything that they can. So that's the reason that we are here. Exactly. Colin McGaw says, death rattle. This is it. Keep us off the streets. They would do an FF if they could. They would do anything that they can to hurt us. All right? Last call of the night, 7288. What's up?
Thomas, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Who's this?
Lenny from New Jersey.
Hey, Bubba. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. How's New Jersey holding up?
We're under a lockdown. The governor, it's crazy. The governor, he's actually arresting people if they break quarantine.
Yeah. They can't. I don't see that that's being a bad thing. You're breaking the law, right?
Yeah, you are. There's no other way.
Right.
We're gonna slow this thing down. So I can't really blame them.
No. It's like, no, they're trying to nip this in the bud. They're trying to end this, and you have idiots breaking curfew, trying to go out and, make people sick. Stay home.
Stay home.
Well,
what I wanted to ask you,
yes, sir.
How much do you know about Frazzle Drip?
A lot.
A lot? You
Yes.
think it's real?
Yes, 100% believe it's real. I don't think we're dealing with. I don't think we're dealing with people anymore, brubba. I don't really think we are.
Well, did you see Flynn's lawyer the other day? She pretty much confirmed it.
Yes. Yes. I did see that. I don't know if I put it on one of the live streams. It got lost beneath the hours of how many times we do this. I think I showed it on this channel. But I did. Yeah. Flynn's attorney definitely did confirm that. I don't think we're dealing with people, Lenny.
No, definitely not.
No.
And then the cops that saw it, that they all got suicided.
Correct. So you tell me, is it real or not? Hell yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
And this is
I'm
who we're
starting to
dealing
think
with.
It's real. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, that seems a little far-fetched. But with her saying that and everything that's lining up, I'm like, maybe it is real. I mean, because with everything you see, like, with Pizzagate, and then before that, it was the Franklin scandal, the cover-up, and then before that, the missing children and the tunnels.
Right.
I mean, these all have, like, they all, like, lining up. So, I mean, if it's one or two kids saying this, you could be like, okay, they're making stuff up. But eventually you hear all this stuff and a lot of it lines up and matches up. You gotta say, okay, maybe there is something to this.
Yeah. I mean, there is, right? I mean, they're all signs, all signs lead to it's 100% certainty. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I know it's okay to say the word frazzle drip, but please do not text that word in the chat, please. That is definitely a key word. I should have said that from the get-go. No harm, no foul, Tiffany Coke. I'm just letting you know, okay? That definitely is a red flag word. Yeah, guys, please. Damn it. It's okay. I mean, that's my fault. Well, Lenny, man, I want you to be safe out there, okay? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
Okay. I want you to be safe out there. Tomorrow's a big show for everybody. Incarnate ET is going to be on here, or Inevitable ET is going to be here. I'm going to ask him everything that I can, okay? And I'm going to let you guys do that as well. He's a really smart person. And
okay.
All right, my man, you be safe out there. You stocked up, ready to go?
Yeah, I'm actually at my parents' house because I'm staying with them till this all blows over, because over here it's more rural. Like where I'm at, I'm more in the suburbs, so it's more people running back and forth to the city.
Yeah.
So it's a little more crazy over there. Down here, we're a little more spread out. We're a little more rural. We're not as close to the city.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Well, I want you to stay safe, okay, my man? And you call tomorrow, call whenever. We're going to be doing this a lot, okay? Appreciate you being loyal to me too, my man. I mean that.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. Right now I'm not working, so I can't donate financially.
Bubba, you are fine. I'm not talking about that type of loyalty. I'm just talking about, always here. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate
Right.
that. I appreciate it. Lenny, I'll talk to you soon, all right, my man? You have a good night.
You too, man.
All right. Take care. All right, guys. Yeah, Bubba. That's it for the Calls Great show. This is a long show, guys. We're going 4 hours. We're approaching 4 hours. So I want to end with this. Remember, our president knows all. I'm going to mute this as we end the show, okay? So I have your attention. I want you to know that the president can and he will expose these people if they don't play ball with him. If this bill will be signed, they can jerk it around as all they want to, but in the inevitable is going to happen. They will be exposed. They will be imprisoned. They'll either off themselves as well. Have faith in our God. Have faith in Jesus. Have faith in love and humanity with all of us. I'll end with a prayer as we end the show. All right. So if you want to bow your heads, we'll go ahead and do this, my friends. Heavenly Father, please watch over each and every American family. Watch over everyone on this planet that's been dealing with this awful disease/virus. I know a lot of people have this, and I pray for their swift recovery. Please, I know you're not a vengeful God, but please let it be known to those who are out to hurt us, to know that they can never win, they will never escape. run, or hide. Heavenly Father, the ones that hurt our children in this American and on this planet, bring them swift justice, Lord. Do not allow them to take part in this any longer. We know who they are. The collective consciousness is awakening, Lord. Heavenly Father, please watch over our president. Please watch over the 17 team. Watch over our vice president. Watch over all of the patriots out there that are protecting us day in and day out, working countless hours. Heavenly Father, watch over all of us from the alternative media, those light workers out there that are on this channel, on other channels, all the anons, people on Twitter, everyone trying to push everyone in the right direction, Lord. Heavenly Father, just please place your hand of comfort and serenity over us. Calm us, Lord. We are in a time of need for your love. We're in a time of need for your passion. We're loyal to you, Lord, and we are here for you, and we are looking for any type of guidance and strength that you're able to give to us, Lord. Give us wisdom, Lord, and we will turn that into work. We will push it forward, Heavenly Father. And finally, Lord, again, please keep your loving embracement on our president. He is doing everything that he can. In your loving name, amen. So, guys, I will talk to you all next time. Obviously, tomorrow, big show tomorrow with Incarnate ET. It's going to be a great show, so I hope you're looking forward to it. Understand that loyalty, I'm a loyalist, and I hope you are too. Okay? Know where you get your information from. I'll talk to you guys soon, okay? God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye.